Index. Abyssinia, elevation of the mountains of 116, 118. Acaceae, various species of in South America, 307, of Australia, 313. Acaeus, tribe of the 184. Achaguas, savage tribe of 197. Acicular or needle-leaved trees, natural history of and their extensive geographical diffusion, 314, et seq. Varieties of 325, 328. Aconcagua, elevation of the volcano of 205. Actiniae, the 252. Adansonia, a colossal species of dragon tree, known as the baobab or monkey-bread tree, 270, 271, 273. Aerial ocean, the influence of its pressure on plants, 292, 295, 296. Africa, extensive barren plains in the interior of 2. Deserts of uninhabitable by man 3. Oasis of 2. Deserts of described by Herodotus 9. Causes of excessive heat 9. Mountains of 9. Northern Africa 1. Connected sea of sand 9. 110. Character of its vegetation 10. 2 races of men separated by the Great North Desert 19. 140. Nomadic tribes of 50. Agouti, the antelope of South America 12. Aguas calientes, elevation of 208. Ahuahuets, a colossal species of tree, 274. Air, currents of, on the vertical ascent of, 266. Influence of its pressure on plants, 292, 295, 296. Alders, 231. Alco, a Peruvian dog, 218. Alleghanies, temperature of the 102, 103. Almond tree, the Berthelicia excelsa, 158, 179. Aloes, one of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 228, 332, various species of 334. Alpine regions, elevation and temperature of 84. Altai mountain plateau of 53, the mountain chain of 63, 64. Alouettes, the plaintive cry of the 199. Amazon, plain of the 6, the wild luxuriance of its regions, 19, called the Great River by the natives, 155, its extent, 157, boundless wooded plain of the 161. Upper, plains of 390, breadth of, at Tompenda, 401. Amentesi, 194, 285. America, migrations to, through northern Asia, 11, 131, absence of cereal food in, 12. Pastoral life unknown to the Aborigines, 12. On the cosmological origin of, 105. The southern hemisphere cooler than the northern, 107. North, inclination of the eastern shore, 29. Natural features and configuration of, 3140. No pastoral tribes discovered among the Aborigines, 42. On the climate and distribution of heat in, 102 et seq. South, the vast steppes of 6, 8, 85. Physical causes of the diminution of heat, 7, 96 et seq. Presents a remarkable similarity to the southwestern continent of the Old World, 8, 105. Character of its vegetation, 10. Aborigines of 11, cattle of 11, quadrupeds of 12, 133. The regions by which the steppes of are bounded, 19. The wild luxuriance of nature, 19. Various races of man, 20. Mountain systems of 30, 31. Forests of 98. General disquisition on the climate of 96, 109. Vast savannas of 98. Early civilization of 130, 131. Limits of European civilization in 140. Carved rocks found in 147, 151. The great rivers of 155 et seq. Different routes proposed in the unknown portions of 177. Schomburgk's journey across the continent of 176, 177. The early maps of 181. Their uncertainty, 182. Immense extent of the woody region between the plains of Venezuela and the pampas of Buenos Aires, 194. The vegetable kingdom of, as yet imperfectly explored, 292, 294. Humboldt's journey across, from Caxamarca to the Pacific, 393, 420. Ammon, temple of 2, nomos of 44. The probability of its having stood on the seashore, 264. Ammonites found on the Andes, 403. Amuku, lake of 159, 179, 184, 185. Where situated, 186, 187. Amygdali, 95. Anai, village of 187. Andes, chain of the 31, the seat of active volcanoes, 43, inhabited by the Spanish race, 192, chain of in Bolivia, various elevations of the 205, sojourn on the ridge of the 290, Paramos of the 292, Humboldt's journey across from Caxamarca to the Pacific Ocean, 420 elevation of at the Paramo del Asue, 393, succession of Paramos, 407. Picturesquely marked by masses of erupted porphyry and trachyte, 403, marine fossils found 12,800 feet above the level of the sea, 403, illustrative notes of the 421, derivation of 423. The point where they are intersected by the magnetic equator, 407. Animal kingdom, great divisions of the 222. Animal life existing in the solitudes of the loftiest mountains, 210 in the atmosphere, in the waters, and the earth, 211-214. Animalcules of the atmosphere, the water, and the earth, 211-214. Animals which yield milk, 11, 125, 126, of South America, 12, 133, struggles and conflicts of, 17 on the hibernation of 242, 243, domestic, inquiry respecting the origin of, 52 nocturnal life of in the primeval forests of South America, 191 et sec. Traits of 198, 199, various cries of 199, 200, illustrative notes 202. Antilles, sea of the 23 springs among the islands of the 155, 174, inhabited by the Spanish race, 191. Antisana, mountainous plain of 17, great elevation of 139, cavern of its great elevation, 237, volcano of 371. Anuradhapura, the sacred fig tree of 275. Apercidas las islands so called, 24. Apes, the foreboders of rain, 20, 141 nocturnal cry of 199, 203. Aposentos de Mulilo, of the Andes, 393, 423. Apure river, steps of the 6, observations on 194. Llanos de, temperature of 137. Aqueducts of the Peruvians, 398. Aragua, valley of 24. Arborescent vegetation, 322. Aristolochia, immense blossoms of the 230, 348. Armadillo, of South America, 12. Arum cordifolium, vital heat of the 330. Arundinaria, 180. Ascaris, 213, 251. Asia Central contains the largest steppes in the world, 494, the mountain plateaus of 5362, table of elevations, 58, general review of the mountain chains of 6373, the volcanoes of distant from the sea, 65, vegetation of the steppes of 95. Astria, the 253. Atabapo, the river, 159, blackness of its water, 160. Atahualpa, the ancient fortress and palace of 408-411, his captivity, 410, 429, historical notices of 411 et sec. Death of and the appearance of a comet, 429, his descendants at Caxamarca, 11, 411, 413. Adarroip, cave of, the tomb of an extinct tribe, 171, 188, numerous skeletons found, 171, 172. Atlantic Ocean, northern waters of, agitated by a gyratory movement, 122, form of a longitudinal furrowed valley, 154, 174, calmness of its surface in certain latitudes, 154, 174. Atlantic and Pacific, immense advantages to be derived from a communication, 433. Atlantis, island of 55. Atlas, mount, covered with perpetual snow, 9 inhabitants to the north of 19, greater and lesser, remarks on 88, 89 elevation of 89 on the position of the Atlas of the ancients, 110, 113. Atmosphere, animalcules of the 211, the influence of its pressure on plants, 222, 295, 296. Atolls, coral walls, situation of 254, origin of 259, process of formation of 262. Achers, cataracts of the 153 et sec, general account of 162 et sec. The brave Indian tribe, melancholy legend of 172, verses on the parrot of 189. Australia, acacias, myrtaceae and casuarinae, the principal vegetable forms of 313. Auvergne plateau of, its elevation 58. Avars, early migration of the 5. Avanaiski, 128. Axum plateau of, its elevation 58. Aztecs, ruins of the fortress of the 127, seat of the 207, relics of civilization found, 207, pyramidal buildings of the 398. Badger, hibernation of the 244. Balboa, Vasco de, his adventurous expedition over the South American continent, 418, 432. Balch Pass, elevation of the 79. Bambusaceae, one of the most beautiful ornaments of tropical climates, 335. Bananas, 221, one of the plants by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 224, 227. Cultivated from the earliest infancy of civilization, 305. Banisterias, 173. Banks of steps, probably the marine shoals of the primeval world, 26. Phenomena of explained, 27. Composed of float strata, 28. Immense tracts of in the deserts of Africa and Asia, 28. Banyan tree, colossal size of 275. Baobab, colossal dimensions of the 271, 272. Baragwan, narrow pass of 162. Barjikang Pass, elevation and vegetation of the 78. Basalt, formation of 218. Bats of the South American steppes, 15. Bavaria, plateau of, its elevation 58. Bay of Sadness, 155. Bear, hibernation of the 224. Bees, discovered at the summit of the Rocky Mountains, 33. Befaria, the purple flowering, 23. Bika on the mountains of the moon, 115, 116. Bengal, Bay of, an arrested effort of nature to form an inland sea. Berthelicia excelsa, colossal size of 158, 179. Bignonia, 173. Bynimi, fatal expedition to 188. Birds, hibernation of 242. The ratio of their numerical distribution, 288. Bison of North America, 4042. Bixa orellana, pigment of 171. Black Sea, sea euxine. Boa constrictor of the Orinoco, 20, 142, periodic torpidity of 243. Bolivia, geographical observations on 204, 205. Balsan de Massimi, L, elevation of 208. Bombaceae, one of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 224. Botany, see plants and vegetation. Bougainvillea, new and beautiful species of 400, 401. Brahmins, geographical notions of the 67. Branco River, 178, 181, 182, 183, 184. Buenos Aires, situation and temperature of 109. Buffalo of South America, 11, 125, 126, of the Mississippi, 4042. Butterflies, on the summit of Mont Blanc and on the Chimborazo, 232. Cacao Montes de, 194, 202. Cactus, the 15, 138, one of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 225. Indigenous to America, 310. Its natural history, 311, 312. Caladium belongs exclusively to tropical climates, 329. California, mountain coast range of 36, 37 volcanoes still active in, 37. Its golden treasures and the advantages of the discovery, 433. Kamji on the Orinoco, 163, mouth of the 166. Camel, the ship of the desert, 351. Great utility of the 51, natural history of the 52, 53. Camosi, rock of 165. Canada, monument discovered in the prairies of 82. Canner, fortress of 394, 424. Canaries, inhabited by the Spanish race, 191. Cayahuac, the food of the Indians, 145. Cape Nun, situation of 93. Cape Town, situation and temperature of 139. Capybara of the Orinoco, 198. Caracas, alpine valleys of 1, 2, 4, the vast steppes of 6, littoral chain of 22, a mountainous region, 23, sugarcane of 26, llanos of 26, 94, plateau of its elevation 58. Carguerazo, volcano of falling in of the summit from an eruption and curious phenomenon 367. Caribbean Gulf 1. Islands, disintegration of the 23. Carachana, Indian mission of 161. Carolinias, 160. Carpathian Mountains, general features of the 40. Casas Grandes, ruins of an Aztec palace, 126. Kashmir Valley of 69. Cassiquire, the river of 159, 160. Cactaceae, 138. Castile Plateau of its elevation 58. Casuarini, 221, one of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 226. The principal vegetable form of Australia, 313, 314. Physiognomy of the 330. Cataracts of the Orinoco, dissertation on the 139 et sec. Illustrative notes to 174-190. Of Mapiers and Achers, general account of 162 et sec. Cattle of South America, 11, 125, vast quantities of in the pampas of 14, 137. Cora, sources of the 162. Causeways of the Inca road over the Andes, 394, 424. Caxamarca, the ancient capital of the Inca Atahualpa. Humboldt's journey over the plateau or tableland of 390-420. The scene of the sanguinary history of the Spanish conquest, 403. Originally called Caxamarca, the city of frost. 407. Fertile valley of 407. General description of 408. Ancient fort and palace of Atahualpa, 408-411. Descendants of the Inca resident at 411-415. Humboldt's departure from 415 and arrival at the Pacific, 419. Illustrative notes on 421-436. Cayos Flamenco, Benito, and see coral islands of 257. Celia, elevation of the 208. Central fire of the earth connected with volcanic eruptions, 65, 66, 360, 361, 372. Serials on the culture of 128, 129. Cerro Duida River, 178. Cervus mexicanus, 133. Cesalpini, 220. Chagos Bank, formed of coral, 254, 255. Chambia, Riota, 399, 400, 401. Fall of its waters, 400, 427. Chassars, early migration of the 5. Cherson, situation and temperature of 104. Chigwayers, herds of in South America, 12, 135. Chihuahua, elevation of 208. Chimborazo, elevation of 43, butterflies and other winged insects found on the summit of 210, peculiar color of the water flowing from 160, elevation of the 4 peaks, Pomarip, Guallatari, Parinacota and Sahama, 204, The vertical height, 234. Probable derivation of the name, 234 defined as the snow of Chimbo, 235. The name probably transmitted from a bygone age, 235. Chinchilla, the 233. Chinchun, Countess de, biographical notices of 390, 422. Chinese, ancient orographic knowledge of the 56. Corapampa, plain of 406. Chota, ruins of 204. Silver mines of 402, 403. Sidaris, species of 403. Cinchona, its first discovery and medical virtues, 390, 422 its habitat and natural history, 391. Cinchona bark hunters, 281. Civilization, limits of in South America, 19, 140, and remains of 207, progressive stages of 398, in ancient Mexico and Peru, 425. Climate of South America, 7, general disquisition on 95 et sec. Of North America, 100 et sec. Forms the various characteristics of nations, 219. Climbing plants, 331, 332. Coast reefs, situation of 253. Cochabamba, Cordilleras of 84. Caucaise El Magote, rock of 161. Silabajane, germination of the 245. Colosachles, 222. Colombia, cataracts and shores of the 37. Columbus, his voyage through the Fucus banks of the ocean, 49, 50. His first discovery of the new continent, 156, 175, 432. His observations on the equinoctial currents, 175. Composite, numerical relations of the 279, 280, 281, 283, 284, 286. Numerous species of 291. Condor, the giant among vultures, 210, 237. Various names of the 237, its native region, 237. Immense altitude to which it soars, 237, 238 its habits, 239, mode of capture, 239. Coniferae, 194, 221, on the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 227, their extensive geographical diffusion, 314, 322, 323, et sec. Coral animals, labors of the 214. Animalcules, wonderful formation of 252 et sec. Depth at which they can exist, 259. Islands, 257. Reefs, natural history of 253, 257 et sec. Corals, the greatest number in the Aegean Sea, 259. Various forms of in the Red Sea, 255. Cordilleras of South America, vast extent of 42 names of the highest points, 43 of Cochabamba, 84 of Peru, 210 deserts of the 393, remains of the Great Road of the Incas across the 393. Corentin River, exploration of the 150. Cormalash, mountain of 404. Casaquariachi, elevation of 208. Cosmos quoted, see Humboldt. Creeping plants, 227, 331. Crescentia, delicate blossoms from the rough bark, 230, 348. Crocodile of the Orinoco, 20, 142, 198, periodic torpidity of 243. Crotalus, the 251. Cruciferi, 95, 285, 286. Cryptogamia, 215 wonderful regermination of the 241, numerical distribution of 337. Cumadanamuri, hills of 164. Cumana, expedition to 181. Cunabami, mountain group of 162. Cupelliferi, their geographical distribution, 322. Curata, the Indian name of the colossal grass of South America, 180. Curare, an Indian poison, 151, 152. Curtius, Professor, his verses on the parrot of the Achers, 189. Cusco, the capital of the Incas of Peru, 395. Ancient fortress of 397, 398. Cyathea speciosa, 338. Cyclidae, the 213. Cynomecia, delicate blossoms spring from the rough bark, 348. Cyperaceae, cypresses, 94, 95, 231, 284. Gigantic forms of 326. Date palms, geographical situation of 297, 302. Dead, Indian method of preserving the 171. Dead Sea, specimens of the Porretes elongata from the 260. Delphin pottery, remains of found in South America, 207. Deserts, general view of 1 et sec. Of Africa, 2, 3, probable causes of their sterility, 10 of Northern Africa, 110, sea steppes. Dowalagiri, elevation of the 68, 71, 236. Dicotyledons, numerous species of 292. Diodorus, his traditions respecting the primeval formation of the Mediterranean and of Samothrace, 262, 263. Dioecious plants, fructification of 244, 246. Jawahir, elevation of the 69, 71. Jebel al-Qamar, the mountains of the moon, 9. Dogs, wild, herds of in South America, 85. Objects of Indian adoration, 85. Natural history of 86-88. Dolphins of the Orinoco, 199, 202. Dorado, fabulous, 185, 188. Dormitoras, the name of applied to certain plants, 94. Dormouse, hibernation of the 243. Dragon tree, colossal dimensions of the 220, 268 et sec. Its habitats, 268, its prodigious age, 269, 270. Dragon's mouth, at the entrance of the Orinoco, 155, 175. Drought of the steppes, 14, 15, effects of the change from 16, 139. Duida, the mountain of described, 158. Durango in Mexico, elevation of 268. Earth, the food of the Ottomacs and other Indians, 142, 146, on the indurating and heat-emitting mass of the 218, 267, 268. Earthquake, submersion of a forest by an 28, evidence of subterranean fire communications, 360, of 1811 and 1813, which shook the various parts of the new continent. Eels electric, 17, mode of capturing, 18, experiments on, 113. Egypt, once overflowed by the sea, 264, left uncovered by the retreat of the Mediterranean, 264. El Dorado, the fable of 159. Elater noctilucus, phosphorescence emitted from the 250. Elbow Lake, situation of 40. Electric fishes, 248. Electricity, operations and extent of 19, 140. Elements, perpetual struggle of the 387. Elias Mount, an active volcano, 37. Elysian plains of the ancients, 111. Encaramata, engravings on the rock of 164. Engravings on the rocks of Central America, 147, 148, on the rocks of Uruana and Encaramata, 164. Ephedra, the different species of 328. Epicharmus, the philosopher of Syracuse, his illustrations of vital force from the painting of the Rhodian genius, 383-385. Equinoctial current, observations on the 175. Eratosthenes, geographical views of 67. Ericaceae, 308-310, the vegetable covering of the Earth's surface, 110-225, sea heaths. Escaloniae, of the family of the Eriaceae, geographical distribution of. Esmeralda, town of 176-179. Esquimaux, sea Indians. Ugolns, the 213. Euphorbiaceae, 197, 245, 285. Euxine, primeval outburst of the waters of 262, originally an inland lake, 263, forced the passage of the Dardanelles. 263, extract from Strabo, recording the primeval convulsion of its waters on the authority of Strato, 263. Fan palms of South America, 12, 13, 135, 136. Fairweather Mount, an active volcano, 38. Ferns, growth of in different climates, 108. One of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 229, 337, 340. Numerical relation and geographical distribution of 280, 337. Climatic relations under which they flourish, 339, 340. Fish, the swimming bladder of 251. Flamingos, multitudes of 197. Floats, strata of 1. Flora japonica, curious properties of the 320. Forests of South America, 1998, plants composing the 280. Primeval, on the nocturnal life of animals in the 191 et sec. Between the Orinoco and the Amazon, 193, definition and description of 193. The Spanish word monte applied both to a forest and a mountain. Between the plains of Venezuela and pampas of Buenos Aires, immense extent of 194 of Europe and northern Asia, 194. Impenetrability of some portions of 195. Illustrative notes, 202. Fort George, situation and temperature of 104. Fossils marine, found on the Andes, 403, 428. Fountain of Youth, fatal expedition to discover the 188. Fremont, Captain, Geographical Investigations of 29, 32, lofty peak called after his name, 32, 33. Fresnillo, elevation of 208. Frogs, vitality of underwater, 242. Fucus, immense size of the marine Macrocystes pyrifera, 276, banks of the ocean, 4750. Galapagos, the 256. Gallinazzos, different species of 239, appreciated for their utility, 240. Gallianelli, 212. Gambia, the river, 3. Jebet River, 179. Geneva, situation and temperature of 104. Geognostic, or geological profiles, 33. Gerard Doctor, his visit to Shahil Pass, 76. Gila River, delph and pottery found on the banks of 207. Globe, primeval, distribution of land and water different from the present, 164. Glumesi, 95, numerical relation of the 279, 283, 284. Gobi, step of 5, 58 elevation of 59. Gomfrenes, 214. Gonzales, Juan, shipwrecked, 172. Gothard Mont, height of 35. Gothenburg, situation and temperature of 104. Graminy, 94, 285, 286. Granite, masses of leaden-colored, 19, 141. Turned black by the waters of the Orinoco, 163, 164. Grasses of the steppes, 16 farinaceous, culture of 128, colossal stalks of a species of 158, 180 arborescent, 221, one of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 228, 334, 337. Greeks, extent of their maritime discoveries, 111. Grossulariaceae, 310. Guajaribes, waterfall of the 158. Guaycas, tribe of the 158. Guinea, the river, 159, 160. Gualgia, argentiferous mountain of 404, value of silver obtained from 405. Guamani, Paramode of 417. Guanaco of South America, 126. Guanaxuato, elevation of 208. Guancabamba, Rio de 398, the swimming couriers of 399, 400. Guanches, race of the 51. Guangamarca, Andes Pass of 417, 418. Guarans, a tribe of South America, 12, 13, 134, 135. Garrick Indians, savannas inhabited by the 163, melancholy legend of the 172, their extinction, 172, skeletons and skulls of 172. Guaviare the river, 159, 160. Guayaquil, Rio de, peculiar blackness of its water, 160. Guaycas, Indians, 178. Guyana, the granitic stones of 155. Impenetrable forests of 161. Method of preserving the dead among the tribes of 171. Observations on the coast of 176. Guinea, Negroes of Eat Earth, 145. Girion, Mission of 182. Gulf Stream of Mexico, 121, 124. Gustavia, delicate blossoms spring from the rough bark, 230, 348. Gymnotus, the electric eel, 17. Mode of capturing, 18. Experiments on, 139. Hami, oasis of 62. Hanno, periplus of 113. Harej, desert near the mountains of 2. Basaltic mountains of 44. Geological features of 45. Heat, physical causes for the diminution of in South America, 7. General disquisition on, 96 et sec. Of North America, 103 et sec. Of the interior of the earth, 373, 379. Heaths of Northern Europe may be regarded as steppes too. Ericaceae, one of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 225. The habitats and natural history of 308, 309. Hedgehog, hibernation of the 212. Hell's Mouth, the whirlpool so called, 162. Hermesia castaneifolia, 197, 202. Herodotus has described the deserts of northern Africa, 9. Herrera, his observations on the voyage of Columbus, 156, 175. Hesperides of the Ancients, 111. Hillhouse, Mr., navigates the Masaruni, 184, 185. Himalaya, estimated height of the 32 mountain plateau of the 54. The mountain chain of 63, 68, observations of various travelers, 70 general elevation of 71 on the perpetual snowline of the 74. Hindu Kush, situation of the 67. Hyangnu, a tribe of Eastern Asia, 52, 80, 81. Hobart Town, situation and temperature of 109. Hordaceae, 128. Horse, the constant attendant of man, 17. Everywhere exposed to attack, 17. Huancaya, canine worship of the Indians of 85. Huayna of the family of the Incas, 412, 430, 431. Humboldt, Alexander von, his journey over the plateau or tableland of Caxamarca to the shores of the Pacific, 390-420, see Caxamarca. Illustrative notes of the journey, 421-436. Works of, referred to in various notes. Annales de Chimie et de Physique, 152, 278. Annales des Sciences Naturelles, 205, 255, 258, 328. Essai Central, 59, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 67, 69, 71, 73, 89, 91, 97, 113, 234, 260. Cosmos, 41, 49, 53, 73, 114, 118, 124, 265, 273, 303, 305, 346, 388. De Distribution Geographica Plantarum, 278, 296, 304, 338, 343. Essai politique sur la Nouvelle Espagne, 31, 34, 37, 43, 88, 206, 305, 306, 430, 434. Essai sur la géographie des plantes, 84, 129, 136, 138, 277, 281, 306. Examen Critique de l'Histoire de la Géographie, 32, 48, 50, 88, 134, 265, 271, 316, 322. Fragment d'un tableau géologique de l'Amérique méridionale, 23. Letter to the editor of the Annalen der Physik und Chemie, 249. Mémoire sur les montagnes de l'Inde, 53. Mémoire sur les lignes isothermes, 87. Nouvelles Annales des Voyages, 185. Recueil d'Observations Astronomiques, 234, 238, 428. Recueil d'Observations de Zoologie et d'Anatomie Comparée, 24, 139, 203, 237, 251. Relation historique du voyage aux régions equinoxiales, 29, 29, 46, 48, 82, 85, 133, 134, 137, 139, 144, 147, 152, 180, 202, 203, 242, 250, 269, 305, 336. 338, 434. Sur la fixation des limites des Guyans Francaises et Portugaises, Treatise on the Quina Woods, 423. Über die Gerist Muskel und Nervenfaser, 295. Vues des Cordillers et Monuments des Pupils Indigens de l'Amérique, 236, 269, 424, 425. Hummingbirds, seen at an elevation of 14,600 feet, 237. Huns' early migration of the 5 various races of 80, 81. Hibernation of animals, 242, 243. Hydras, the 252. Hylia of the Amazon, 6. Hymene, 220. Hypsometric observations on the heights of mountains and their peaks, 209. Illimani Peaks, situation and elevation of 204. Inca roads of Peru, remains of 393, 397, 424. Flights of steps, 395, 424. Inca Roca, state policy of 431. Incas of Peru, their early conquest of Quito, 236. Ancient fort and palace of the Caxamarca, 408, 411. Descendants of 411, 413 treasures taken from their temples by the Spaniards, 410, 430 their worship of the sun, 430, 431 expected restoration of their ancient rule, 415, 432. See Atahualpa. India, mountain plateaus of 55. Indians, driven on the coast of Germany, 124 of the Orinoco, method of preserving their dead, 171. Infusoria, vital tenacity of 241, 242, 244. Marine, luminosity of the 247 et sec. Insect life in the atmosphere, the ocean, and the earth, 211, 214. Insects carried to an elevation of 19,000 feet above the plains, 232. Inundation, the valley of 183. Ipomucena Islands, 187. Ipurukotos, tribe of the 182. Islands formed of coral reefs, 257. Italian scenery, 216, sky, 217. Jagua palm, beauties of the 392. Jaguar of South America, 12 traits of the 195, 196, 197. Jaintidara, elevation of the 80. Jiao, sources of the 162, mouth of 164. Japan, history of the peopling of 12, 131. The character of its vegetation different from that of the Asiatic continent, 320. Jardin des Plantes at Paris, rich collections of the 287, 288. Jardins del Rey, 257. Jarriers, race of the 20. Junkasi, 95, 285. Kalma Kyrgyz tribes, extensive steppes occupied by 3. Kashmir Valley of, its elevation 59. Kiling Atoll, a coral lagoon, 255. Kari, rocks of 163, 164, 165. Kinchenjunga, the highest point of the Himalaya, 68. Kuen the mountain plateau of 53, the mountain chain of 63, 66, 67. Kalingi, the steppes covered with 16. Kyungir Pass, elevation and vegetation of 79. Labiati, 285, 286. Lagoon Islands, 254, hypothesis respecting 261. Lagos, elevation of 208. Lake Estaca, sources and elevation of 40. Superior, its elevation 39. Lacquer Pass, ascent to the 80. Lama of South America, 126. Landscape painters, leading forms of vegetation, instructions to 346. Painting on the beauties of, as derived from the vegetable kingdom, 347. Languages, variety of in the South American wilds, 20 changes in the terms of, 191. In language, truth to nature should be the chief object, 192. Latent life, disquisition on 242, 243. Lesidi 10, 125. Leguminosae, 280, 284, 285, 286. Lemur, Don F., his trigonometrical survey of the Bahia de Zagua, 174. Lepidosirn, periodic torpidity of 243. Leprarii, the 214. Leucopria, 213, modulata, 251. Lions or creeping plants, one of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 227, 331. Lichens 10, 125. Liliaceae, one of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is chiefly determined, 229, 341. Lima, observations for determining the longitude of 420, 435, 436. Limand of the Orinoco, 203. Lions of South America, 12 nocturnal roar of 199, not to be found in the Sahara, 90. Lysodendra, the 253. Lithophytes, the 214, 251 at Sec. Llanos of South America, 2. The Great Plains of the 7 extent of 8 adapted for breeding cattle, 10, have become habitable to man, 13, 14 extension of 22 of Caracas, 26, 27, 94 elevation of 27 of Barcelona, 28 effective on the mind, 28 general observations on, 29 of the Valley of the Amazon, 83. Situated in the torrid zone, 88. Due a pure temperature of 137, extensively overflowed by the Orinoco, 185. Laughling's expedition to Cumana, 181. London's Arboretum and Sea, quoted 273. Loxa, town of 390. Luminosity of seawater, 246, attributed to Mollusca, 247 et sec. Lupata, cordilleras of, covered with eternal snow, 9 mountain range of 120. Lictonia, ancient land of 265, 266. Macos, race of the 20. Macrocystes pyrifera, a species of marine fucus, colossal size of 276. Macusi Indians, religious traditions of the 147. Madagascar River, hedgehogs and tortoises of 242, 243. Madrepores the 253. Magdalena River, called the Great Water by the natives, 155 Valley of 416. Magellan, Straits of the temperature of 107. Magnetic Needle, physical effects of the sudden variations of the 249. Mahu River, description of the 186. Majongkong Indians, mountainous country of the 176, 180. Malvaceae mallows, one of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 224. Its various families, 305, 306. On the natural history of the 306. Mammalia, the ratio of their numerical distribution, 287, 288. Man, various races of in the South American wilds, 20, 142. His ferocity in a savage state, 20, 151. Discordant elements of even in civilized life, 21. Everywhere is man opposed to man. 21. The monuments of his creative genius pass away, while the life springs of nature remain eternal. 173. Manco Capac, his mysterious appearance in Peru. 397. Manami, perilous cataract ledges of. 166. Mapiers, the coffins of the Indians. 171. Maps of South America. 181. Maquetaires, race of the 20. Mar de Sargasso, geographical situation of. 48. Marinan, valley of. 402. Marivaca, mountain of. 179. Marmot the. 233. Masaruni River, navigated. 184, 185. Mastodons, elephantine. 222. Matter, vital force of affinitive and repulsive. 383. Various combinations of. 384, 385. Mauritia palms of South America. 12. Useful and nutritious properties of. 13, 135, 136. Mapiers, cataracts of. 153 et sec. General account of the waterfalls of. 162 et sec. Missionary village of. 163, parrot of. 172. Mediterranean, great catastrophe by which it was formed. 216, 262, 265. Strato's account of. 263. Three peninsulas of the Iberian, Italian, and Hellenic. 265. Medusa Hysocella, electric light struck from the. 249. Mehemet Ali, his exploring expeditions to the mountains of the moon. Melastomacea, 160. One of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined. 229, 346. Melicactuses, the. 15, 138, 226. Vegetable springs, 312. Meta, whirlpool and rock at the entrance of the. 161. Mexican Gulf, rotatory stream of the. 121, 124. Coral Islands, in the. 256. Mexico, plateau of. Its elevation, 58. Elevation of. In the equinoctial zone, 208. General elevation of. 209. The coniferae and oaks of. 315 et sec. Microscope, wonderful discoveries of the. 211. Migrations, through northern Asia to the western coast of America. 11. Mimosas, the steppes of South America covered with. 16, 216. One of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined. 224. The habitat and natural history of. 307, 308. Mirage, deceptive appearances of the. 13, 137. Mississippi, its sources and elevation. 39. The forest, prairies of. 40. Temperature of the valley of the. 102, 103. Missouri, deposits of the. 38. Moeris Lake, probably once connected with the sea. 244. Mollusca, marine luminosity of the. 246, 247 et sec. Monad, question respecting the. 241. Mongolian steppe, in Central Asia. 419. Monkeys of South America, cries of. 199, 203. Monocotyledons, numerous species of. 212. Moon, natural representations of. 165. Mountains of the. 9. Disquisition on. 114, 115. Mont Blanc, 210. Monte, the term in Spanish applied both to mountain and forest. 194. Montevideo, situation and temperature of. 104. Nuovo, in the Peloponnesus. 356. Mouflon, the longhorned of South America. 11. Mountains of South America, system of 30, 31 plan for measuring the heights of 33 vast range in North America. 35, 38. The Cordilleras, the longest chain in the world. 42, 43. Plateau of Asia. 53, 62. Table of elevations. 68. General view of the great mountain chains of Asia. 63, 73 on the snow lines of. 73 et sec. Masses of in South America. 84. Numerous terms for in the Castilian dialects. 191, 202. The names of derived from the most ancient relics of languages. 236. transparency of the atmosphere of 238, process of their formation 262. Mule instinctive cunning of the, for allaying his thirst 15. Musk ox of South America 11 125 of the Mississippi 40. Muiscas the ancient inhabitants of New Granada 425, civilization of 426. Mylodon robustus 222. Myrtaceae myrtles 179 280 of Australia 312. One of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined 229 343 345. Mysore plateau of its elevation 58. Naiads the 213. Nations characteristics of formed by climate 219. Natron lakes of Egypt 44. Nature the study of conducive to intellectual repose 21. Her powerful influence in the regions of the tropics 154 215. The life springs of ever prolific and eternal 173. The many voices of revealed in animal existence 201. Periodic stagnation of 215. Great convulsion of in the Mediterranean 216. 262 265. General physiognomy of 218 219. Principally determined by 16 forms of plants 221. Vital force of illustrated by Epicharmus 383 385. Negroes, various hordes of in Africa 19. Nemterequeteba, the ancient Peruvian messenger of God 397 425 426. Nevado de Cerrada, immense elevation of 43. Duilimani, elevation of 43. Situation and elevation of peaks 204. New Granada, the ancient seat of civilization 425 426. The native land of the potato 426 427. Niagara, origin of the falls of 165. Nile on the sources of the 115 129. Windings of in Abyssinia 157. Noonday, the stillness of in the tropics, contrasted with the night, all larger animals then take refuge in the forest 201. Oaks cover the mountain plains of the equator in South America 231. Immense size and age of an oak in the department of Charente 275. Elevated situation of growing in Mexico 135. Oases of the African desert 2, 3. Number of in Egypt 44. The name of Egyptian 45. Ocean vegetation of the 48, 49. Phosphorescence of the 212, 245. Oceani the 253. Oko rock of 163. Opuntiacy 310. Orange River, its elevation 58. Trees, number and magnitude of, in the Huertas de Pucara, 400. Orchidea, natural history of the 312, 313, one of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 226, 227. Oregon, territory of 35, temperature of 104. Orinoco, the wild luxuriance of its regions, 19, rock engravings on the banks of 82. The Great Steppe extending from the mouth of the 81 accounts of the cataracts of 153 et sec. The name unknown in the interior of the country 155, simply called the river. 155, current produced by the 155, the mighty waters have poured into the Atlantic 156, general description of 157 et sec. Its general course and remarkable windings 159, picturesque rocky vales of 161. Its course along the chain of the Pacaraima 161, 162, separates the forest of Guyana from the extensive savannas 162, danger to boatmen from floating forest trees 162. Possesses the singular property of coloring black the reddish masses of granite 163, 164 on the sources of the 158, 175, 176, 178, 180. The ancient water level considerably depressed 164, Illustrative notes, 174-190, passes through the mountains of the Pacaraima, 200. Orotava, colossal dragon tree of 268-269. Orphic argonaut, mythical narrations of 265. Otaheite, sugar cane of 25. Ottomacs or Ottomacs, a tribe of Indians who eat earth, lizards, and sea, 142-143. Observations on 144-145. The poison curare used by 151. Ox, the constant attendant of man, 17. Everywhere exposed to attack, 17. Pacaraima Mountains, 182, 183, 184. A latitude of 185, 186. Pacaraima, 222. Pacific Ocean, first view of from the Guangamarca of the Andes, 419. Immense advantages to be derived from a direct communication with the Atlantic, 433. Paco of South America, 126. Padano River, 176, 179. Pajarello, 212. Palms of South America, 12, 13, 135, 136, 298. The Pirigao, one of the noblest forms of the 161, 185. The family of 221. The most stately of all vegetable forms, by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 223, on the habitat and natural history of 297-304. Form and color of the fruit, 303. Pampa de Navarre, 406. Pampas of South America, 2, general observation on, 29. Panama Isthmus of, various measurements of 434, 435. Paraguay, a general name for water or sea, 193. Paraguamusi River, 183. Páramo de la Suma Paz, the mountain group of the Caracas, its elevation, vegetation, and sea, 484. The highest alpine regions, 83, 94 of the Andes, in Peru, elevation and description of 392, 407. Páramo River, 176. Parasitic worms, 251. Pacaraima mountain chain of the 161, 162, 200. The terra incognita of South America, 178. The lake of, alleged to be the source of the Orinoco, 181. Zabulon, a general name for water or sea, 183. The Great Mar de la, proved to be the Lake Amoku, 188. Parapanesis, the snow-crowned summits of 155, 175. Paras, elevation of 208. Paspalum, the steppes covered with 16. Paso del Norte, elevation of 208. Pastos, Province de Los, its elevation 58. Peccary, tracks of the 197. Pentastoma, 213. A division of the parasitic worms, 251. Peru, remains of the Great Road formed by the Incas, 393-397. Periplus of Silax, 46. Peru, Pizarro's invasion of 395-397. Historical notions of 397. Treasures taken from the temples of by the Spaniards, 410-430. Ancient worship of the sun, 430-431. Petrifactions, wonderful phenomena presented by the study of, 373. Phanerogamic plants, 220, 233, 276. Immense variety of, 276-278. Numerical relations of 279 et sec. Philippines, inhabited by the Spanish race, 191. Phoenicians, extent of their discoveries, 110, 111. Phosphorescence of the ocean, 212, 245. Photocharis, luminosity of the, 247. Philodia, 345. Phytocorals, 252, 253. Pinjuri, perpetual snowline of the 77. Pine forest at Chilpancingo, 328, 329. Of South America, 194, 231. Elevated situation of some growing in Mexico, 315. Various species of in Europe, 318. Their geographical distribution, 321, gigantic forms of 323-325. Pinnate leaves, physiognomy of 352. Paragua, mouth of the 166. Parera River, course of the 186. Piragara, singular properties of the 348. Piraguio, one of the noblest species of palm trees, 161, 185. Pizarro's invasion of Peru, 395, 397. Plains, desert of Africa, 2, vast extent of 3 of Asia, 4. Plains, sea steppes, llanos and sea. Plantains, one of the plants by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 224, 227. Immense one in Lycia, 272. Plants, various species of in the Great Asiatic Steppes, 4 different characteristics of in Africa and South America, 10 on the cultivation of in elevated plateaus, 62 in the llanos of the Caracas, 94, the farinaceous grasses, 128, ideas on the physiognomy of 210-231, illustrative notes, 232-352, universality of their existence, 214. Causes of the absence of over large tracts of land, 216-217, 16 forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 221-229 et passum, palms, 223 plantains or bananas, malvaceae and bombaceae, 224 mimosas, heaths, 225 cactuses, orchidae, casuarini, 226, coniferae, pothos, lions, 227. Aloes, grasses, 228. Ferns, liliaceae, willows, myotaceae, melastamaceae, and laurinae, 229, on the numerous species of Phanerogamia, and their extensive geographical distribution, 276-294. Illustrative notes on the various forms of plants which principally determine the aspect of nature, 296-346 et passum. As yet imperfectly explored in South America, 292-294. Gigantic pines and cypresses, 323, 324, 326. Beauties of the aspect of 346, 349. General view of the physiognomy of 349-352, on the similarity of vegetative forms, 351. In addition to the plants above enumerated, the following which occur passum are referred to under their respective alphabetical entries. Acaceae, alders, amentaceae, amygdalae, aristolochias, arendaria bambusaceae, banyans bignonias, carolinas, caladiums, caesalpina compositae, crescentia, cruciferae, cryptogamia, cupuliferae, custaceae, sciaceae, cynomecia, cyperaceae, dioceae, dicotyledons, ephidiae, ericaceae, escaloni, euphorbiaceae, fucus, glumaceae, gustavia, hymenae, juncaceae, labiatae, leguminosae, melastomas, melocactus, monocotyledons, oaks, opuntiaceae, phalodia, pinnifer. Polypodiaceae, portulaceae, rossaceae, rubraceae, saxifrage, synanthuri, terebinthaceae, theobroma, tiliaceae, umbelliferae, urdiceae, yews, and c. Plata steppes of 6. Plateaus, mountain, of Mexico, general elevation of 209. Of Caxamarca, Humboldt's journey over the 390-420 of Asia, 5362, table of elevations, 58. Pleuronix, a species of sea fish, 260. Pliny's account of the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, 369, 370. Podocarpus taxifolia, its geographical distribution, 322. Poison used by the Ottomacs, 151, 152. Polygastrica, 212. Polypodiaceae, family of the 338. Polyps, natural history of the 253. Pompeii buried by an eruption of Vesuvius, 369. Pongo River, 401, 402. Pontus, see Euxine. Papian Plateau of, its elevation 58. Popocatépetl, volcano of 65. Porrates elongata, 260, 261. Porliria hygrometrica, 401. Port famine, situation and temperature of, 109. Portulacas, 214. Potato plant, the native produce of New Granada, 426, 427. Pothos, one of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 227, 329 belongs exclusively to tropical climates, 329. Prairies on the Missouri, 2. Primeval forest, sea forest. Pumesna, the island of, 159. Pumice, volcanic origin of, 369. Purimarimi, perilous cataract ledge of, 166. Quadra, the river, its course through the Sahara, 92. Quadrupeds of South America, 12, 133, of the Mississippi, 40. Querétaro, elevation of, 208. Quina bark and tree, notices of, 423. Quito, plateau of its elevation, 58, the first conquest of by the Incas of Peru, 236. The tableland of one volcanic hearth, 360, one of the capitals of the Incas, 396. Rafflesia, immense flowers of the 231. Rain, general effects of, after drought in the steppes, 16, 138. Rattlesnake, verms which inhabit the lungs of the, 251. Rottle, the cataract of, 165, dangerous navigation of, 166. Red Sea, coral reefs in the 255. Rhenaud, M, on the mountains of the moon, 115. Remora, the sucking fish, an agent for catching turtle, 257, 258. Rhodian genius, dissertation on the mysterious painting so-called, 385. The principles of vital force illustrated from, by Epicharmus, 383, illustrative note, 386, 389. Rhopala ferruginea, 401. Rio de la Plata, its magnitude, 156. Rivers, effects of overflowing their banks, 17, of South America, 156 of the Caracas, the peculiar blackness of the water, 160. A generic name for, usually adopted by those inhabiting their banks. The only means of traversing the continent of South America, 195. The names of, derived from the most ancient relics of languages, 236. Roads, remains of the Great Road of the Incas, 393, 397. Rocca del Palo, the highest northern margin of the crater of Vesuvius. Rock of Patience, at the entrance of the river Meta, 161. Rocks of South America, images graven in, 20, 147, 148. Rocky Mountains, estimated height of 32, extent of 35, observations on the 205, 206. Rome, temperature of 108. Rose tree, great size and longevity of one in the Cathedral of Hildesheim, 275, 276. Rosaceae, growing in the Asiatic steppes, 4:95 ratio of their distribution, 321. Rotation stream of the Atlantic, 120-122. Rotifera, wonderful revivification of the 211, 240 et sec. Rubiaceae, 280, 285. Rupinuri, lake of 187. Sabrina, sudden appearance of, attributed to volcanic subterranean fire, 360. Sacramento River in California, 207. Sahama, elevation of the 205. Sahara, the great desert of, two races of men separated by the 19. Disquisition on 8993 traverses Africa like a dried-up arm of the sea, 110. St. Bernard Mount, height of 35. Salamanca in Mexico, elevation of 208. Salt Lake Great, 206. Saltillo, elevation of 208. Samarang, edible clay of 146. Samothrace, traditions of 216, 262, 265. Aborigines of 262, position of 262. San Fernando de Atabapo, 161. San Juan del Rio, elevation of 208. San Luis Potosi, elevation of 208. Cenariapo on the Orinoco, 163. San Martin, hibernation of the 242. Sandspouts, fury of, when passing over the steppes, 14, 137, 266. Santa Barbara de Arichuna, mission of 198. Santa Fe del Nuevo Mexico, elevation of 208. Sapajus, nocturnal cry of the 199. Sarcoramphus papa, the 240. Sauchery, growing on the Asiatic steppes 4. Savannas of South America, 98 on the borders of the Orinoco, 162 inhabited by the Garrick Indians, 163 overflowed in April, 187. Saxifrage, 233. Schomburg, Sir R., his antiquarian researches in South America, 151. His observations on the sources of the Orinoco, 176. His journey across the continent of South America, 177. His account of the Lake of Amoku, 186. Sculptured rocks in South America, 147-151. C. On the uniformity of its level, 264-265. Sea coasts, length of time before vegetation, appears on the 10. Sea water on the phosphorescence of, 245, attributed to luminous mollusca, 246, 247. Seaweeds, phenomenon of their accumulation on the western coast of Africa, 56, of the ocean, 4750. Seeds transferred to barren rocks, 214. Senegal, inhabitants to the south of 19. Serpents, periodic torpidity of, 243. Shaddle Pass, elevation of 76. Sierra Nevada of California, observations on the 205, 206, situation of 207. Sierra Pacaraima, mountain chain of the 22. Silao, elevation of 208. Silla, ascent to the summit of the 232. Silver, value of, obtained from the mines of Gualguiac and other Peruvian mountains, 405. Simplon Mount, height of 35. Sipapo on the Orinoco, 163. Siscun, elevation of the plain of, 234. Sitka, situation and temperature of, 104. Siwa, oasis of 44. Snow, mountains eternally covered with 9. Snow line of mountains, 73 et sec. Of the Himalaya, 236. Solano Don Jose, documents of 181. Spanish race, inhabitants of parts of the Andes, the Canaries, the Antilles, and the Philippines, 192. Springs from the bed of the ocean, 155, 174, which rise from different depths, dependent on internal heat, 379. Stag, a native of South America, 133. Stars, glorious spectacle of the at the equator, 231, 349. Steppes and deserts, general view of 121 in the Caracas, 1 sterility and monotony of 2. The heaths of northern Europe may be regarded as such, 2 in the interior of Africa, 3, 9 in Central Asia the largest in the world, 3. Covered with various plants and herbs, 4. Have retarded civilization, 5 of South America, 6 et sec. Of Africa, causes of their sterility, 10. Towns sprung up on the rivers of in South America, 14. 137 fury of the whirlwinds passing over the, 14. Drought of the and mirage, 15. Genial effects of rain after drought, 16. 138, like a vast inland sea, 17. 139. The view of the regions by which they are bounded in Africa and America, 19. 140. Illustrative notes to the article on 22 125, tracts of, covered with naked rock, 28 of Northern Asia, 57. Extending from the mouth of the Orinoco, 83 of Central Africa, 94, 95, vegetation of 95. The different features of in Africa and Asia, 153 various terms for expressing in the Arabic and Persian languages, 202. Of South America, may be regarded as mere local phenomena, 216. Strachey, Lute, his observations on the snow line of the Himalaya. Strato, his statement respecting the primeval convulsion of the waters of the Mediterranean and the Euxine, 163. Strychnos and Indian poison, 152. Stylites, seed of the 13, 136. Sugar cane, varieties of the 24, 25, 26. Sun, worship of by the Peruvians, 430, 431. Sun and moon, representations of on the rocks of the Orinoco, 165. Swimming couriers of the Rio de Guancabamba, 399, 400. Swiss scenery, 217. Sydney, situation and temperature of 109. Sinanthuri, 95. Syracuse, the painting of the Rhodian genius, at 380-385. Tacarigua, Lake of 1, its surrounding scenery and vegetation, 22. Taper, traits of the 197. Tartar Steppes, 4. Tiae, an animal of California, 127. Taxus baccata, peculiar properties of 320. Tiboco, rocky falls of 185. Tegueo, lake of 207. Temi, the river, blackness of its water, 160. Temperatures, mean annual of South America and Europe, tables of 100. Tenerife, peak of the volcano, 371, 379. Tepamarim, carved rock of 148. Terabanthiesi, 280. Terra del Fuego, temperature of 108. Terra firma, coast of 23. Theobroma, delicate blossoms spring from the roots, 230, 348. Theobroma cacao, of South America, 26. Thian Shan, the mountain chain of 63, 64, 66. Thibet, mountain plateau of 55, elevation and geographical situation of 60, plains of 61. Tibos, nomadic tribes of Africa, 50. Tiger, American, traits of the 195, 196, 197, its nocturnal roar, 199. Tiliaceae, 194. Timpanogos, lake of, supposed to be the Great Salt Lake, 35, longitude of 206. Titicaca, lake of, elevation of the plateau of 58. Tompenda, town of on the Andes, 401, 428. Tomo, island of 164. Tepero on the Orinoco, 163, mouth of the 166. Tortoises, periodic torpidity of 243. Trees, immense size and antiquity of 271-276, on the relation existing between the annular rings and their age, natural families of 274, heights to which they grow, 327. Trinidad, asphaltic island of 155, originally torn from the mainland, 175. Tropical winds favorable to the mariner, 154, 174. Tropics, beauties of evening scenery, 173, contain every variety and magnitude of vegetable forms, 217, 231. Tuamini, the river, blackness of its water, 160. Tuarix, nomadic tribes of Africa, 50. Tukiuish, an Asiatic tribe, 5. Tula, elevation of 208. Tundra, the name of cryptogamic plants in the Arctic regions, 95, 96. Turtle, curious mode of catching, by means of the sucking fish, 257. Tuyu, a bird of South America, 6. Tizana, lake of, its elevation, 58. Uavatari, island of 163, 165. Umbellaria groenlandica, 266. Umbellifera, 285, 286. Umibita, ruins of 44. Uniami, mountain of 163. Ural chain of mountains, 63. Yurzakapara River, 183, 184. Urns used for preserving the ashes of the dead, 171, 172. Erdicey, 245. Uruana, engraving on the rocks of 164. Valencia, lake of 24. Vanilla form of the Orchidea, 173, 226, 230. The fragrant, 230. Vapor, the precipitation of 217, 266. Vegetation, length of time before it fixes itself on the seacoast, 10, different characters of in Africa and South America, 10, natural history of the vegetable covering of the earth, 214. Vegetation most exuberant in the tropics, 217, 220, 231 entire families of 221. The vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 221-229. Their numerical relations and geographical distribution, 276 et sec. Ratio of distribution, 285, as yet imperfectly explored in South America, 292-294, the leading vegetable forms instructive to the landscape painter, general view of 349-352, similarity of vegetable forms, 351, sea plants. Venezuela, literal chain of 22, its extent and elevation, 22, description of 23. Verms, parasitical, 251. Vesuvius, elevation of and various measurements of the margins of the crater, 363, 376, 377. Great eruptions of 364, 366, 368 et sec. Rocca del Palo, the highest northern margin of the crater of 376, measurement of the Punta Nason and of the Hermitage of Salvetor, height to which the scoriae rise from the bottom of the crater, 378. Vilfa, species of 232. Villa de Leon, elevation of 208. Vital force, dissertation on 380-389, illustrated by Epicharmus from the painting of the Rhodian genius. Symbols of its existence and extinction, 384, definition of 386, illustrative note, 386-389. Viveri, a native of South America, 12, 134. Volcanoes, still active in the Californian chain of mountains, 37, 38 of Aconcagua, 205. Of the interior of Asia and of the New World, 65. General view of their structure and mode of action in different parts of the earth, 353-375. Previous to the 18th century, all our knowledge derived from observations of Vesuvius and Etna, 355. Sudden volcanic fissures in various parts of the earth, 356, 357. Various heights of 358, craters of elevation, the importance of 359. Various groups of with fire-emitting mouths, 359. The tableland of Quito, one immense volcanic hearth, 360. The subterranean fire progressive from north to south, 360. Earthquakes, evidence of subterranean volcanic communication, 360. Elevation of Vesuvius and various measurements of the margins of the crater, 373, 376, 377. Great eruptions of 364, 366, 368 et sec. In the chain of the Andes, penetrate above the snowline, 367, caused the lofty summit of Mount Carguerazo to fall in, when the whole surrounding country was covered with mud and fishes. 367, volcanic origin of pumice, 369, Pompeii buried by an eruption of Vesuvius, 369, Pliny, account of 369, 370, the summits of upheaved masses of trachyte and lava, 370. Peak of Tenerife, 371, sudden appearance and disappearance of, 371, what generates the heat of, 372, 374. Volcanic phenomena, the result of connection between the interior and exterior of our planet, 373, illustrative notes of 376, 378. Waraputa, cascade of 149. Wadadara, elevation and vegetation of 79. Water, peculiar blackness of some of the South American rivers, 160. West wind, phenomenon of its prevalence on the African coast, 46. Western currents of the ocean favorable to the mariner, 154, 174. Wasatch Mountains, 207. Wheat, first culture of in New Spain, 130. Wheel animalcules, wonderful revivification of the 211, 240, 241. White Sea, myth of the 185. Willows, one of the vegetable forms by which the aspect of nature is principally determined, 229, 331, 342. Words, changes in the meaning of 191. Worms, immense variety in the depth of the waters, 212. Zagua, Gulf of, springs of fresh water in the 174. Yaniguanga, Paramo of 407. Yaruros, savage tribe of 197. Its geographical distribution, 322. Its great longevity, 273. Yucatan architectural remains in 131, 132. Zacatecas, elevation of 208. Zahara, phenomenon of the west winds on the African coast, attributable to 46. Zambos, tribe of the 197. Zoophytes, the calcareous, 251. London, printed by Harrison and Son, St. Martin's Lane. Footnote I. To instance a few, CPP. 241, 245, 255, 259, 304, 320, 325, 326, 386, 422, 424. Footnote B. These lines are from Schiller's Bride of Messina, as translated by A. Lodge, Esquire C. Schiller's Works, Bones ed. Volume Roman 3, p. 509. Footnote C. It is not intended in every instance to trouble the reader with duplicate measurements, but they will be introduced occasionally. Wherever only one measurement is given, it must be understood as English. Ed. Footnote D. The Huns, on being driven from their ancient pastures by the Chinese, traversed Asia, 1,300 leagues, and, swelled by the numerous hordes they conquered en route, entered Europe, and gave the first impulse to the great migration of nations. De Guiers traces their progress with geographical minuteness, and Gibbon tells their story with his usual eloquence in chapter Roman 26. Ed. Footnote E. This effect is well represented in Grindlay's scenery of the western side of India, plate 18. Ed. Footnote F. Modern naturalists affirm that all bats are insectivorous. Ed. Footnote G. Ipsa sui meminit stiepes, sesec desque mens fruiter felix, et novit in astra reverti, Barclay Argenis lib. v. Ed. Footnote H. Examen critique de l'hist, de la géographie t Roman 3, pp. 104-108. Footnote I. See my Observations de zoologie et d'anatomie comparée, t Roman 2, pp. 179-181. Footnote J. Relation hist, t Roman 2, p. 279. Footnote K. See my Essai politique sur la nouvelle Espagne, Toomey edit, t.i. pp. 82 and 109. Footnote L. See Long's Expeditions, Volume Roman 2, pp. 36, 362, 382. App, p. Roman 37. Footnote M. Critical Researches on Philology and Geography, 1824, p. 144. Footnote N. Report of the exploring expedition to the Rocky Mountains in the year 1842, and to Oregon and North California in the years 1843-1844, p. 78. Footnote O. Chap Dotterach, Voyage en Sibri, Fate N 1761. 4 vols, 4 to Paris, 1768. Footnote P. Fremont, Report of the Exploring Expedition, pp. 154 and 273-276. Footnote Q. Humboldt, Atlas Mexicain, PL.Ch. 2, Essai politique sur la Nouve Esp. TIP 231, T Roman 2, pp. 243, 313 and 420. Fremont, Upper California, 1848, p9. See also Duflot de Moffre's Exploration de l'Oregon, 1844, T Roman 2, p 140. Footnote R. In the Archaeologia Americana, Volume Roman 2, p 140. Footnote S. Fremont's Report, pp. 3, 60, 70, 100 and 129. Footnote T. Compare Ehrman's Rise die Erd, Abth, IBD, 3 S8 Abth Roman 2 BD, 1 S386 with his Archive für Wissenschaftliche Kunde von Russland, BD, Roman 6, S671. Footnote U. See my Essai Polit, sur la Nouve, Espagne T Roman 2, p 314. Footnote V. Fremont, Geographical Memoir upon Upper California, 1848, p 6. Footnote W. Report p 274, or Narrative p 300. Footnote X. Compare Fremont's report, pp. 164, 184, 187, 193, and 299, with Nicolet's illustration of the hydrographical basin of the upper Mississippi River, 1843, pp. 3941. Footnote Y. Compare My Relation historique, T. Roman 3, p. 234, and Nicolet, Report to the Senate of the United States, 1843, pp. 757. Footnote Z. Nicolet Op. Cit. pp. 99, 125, 128. Footnote IA. Maximilian, Prince zu Wide, Rise in des Inner Nordamerika, BD. I 1839, S 443. Footnote OB. See Cosmos, Volume Roman 2, p. 674, Bones edition. Footnote AC. Historia General de las Indias, cap. 214. Footnote AD. Archaeologia Americana, Volume Roman 2, 1836, p. 139. Footnote I. Darwin, Journal of Researches into the Geology and Natural History of the Countries Visited 1832, 1836, by the ships Adventure and Beagle, p. 266. Footnote AF. Humboldt, Essai politique, T. Roman 2, p. 173. Footnote AG. Kaliad Voyage à Siwa, p. 14, Idler, Fundgruppen des Orients BD, Roman 4, S 399-411. Footnote A. Strabo lib. Roman 2, p. 130 lib. Roman 17, p. 813 Cass, Herod lib. Roman 3, cap. 26, p. 207 Wessel. Footnote AI. See Ritter's Africa, 1822, S 885, 988, 993, and 1003. Footnote AG. Humboldt Relat, Hist. T. Roman 2, p. 142, and Long's Expedition to the Rocky Mountains, v. Roman 2, pp. 91 and 405. Footnote AC. Compare Seil, Cariand, Parable in Hudson, Volume Roman 2, p. 53 with Aristote, de Mureb, Oscult, in Op Omnia ex Rec, Beckery, p. 884, section 136. Footnote AL. See also Edrisi Geogr. Nub, 1619, p. 157. Footnote AM. Ora Maritima, v. 109, 122, 388, and 408. Footnote N. Aristote Meteoral, Roman 2, 114. Footnote AU. Acosta Historia Natural y Moral de las Indias, lib. Roman 3, cap. 4. Footnote AB. Compare Humboldt, Relation historique, TIP 202, and Examen critique, T. Roman 3, pp. 68-69, with Reynolds' Investigation of the Currents of the Atlantic Ocean, 1832, p. 184. Footnote AC. See Cosmos, Volume Roman 2, p. 631, and note, Bones edition. Footnote R. See My Examen critique, T. Roman 3, pp. 6499, and Cosmos, Volume Roman 2, p. 655, Bones edition. Footnote as. Explorations scientifiques de l'Algérie, T. Roman 2, p. 343. Footnote at. Chardin Voyages Nouves, Aid, Par Langles 1811 T. Roman 3, p. 376. Footnote O. Asean BD, Roman 8, Apth, 1, 1847, S 610, 758. Footnote AV. Historia Regionum Occidentalium, qui siu vocinter, visu et auditu cognitarum. Footnote A. Rignet Animal, TIP 257. Footnote AX. Ritter, Asian, BD, Roman 8, S 670, 672, and 746. Footnote I. Humboldt Cosmos, Bones ed., Volume IP 281. Footnote as. Singapore Journal of the Indian Archipelago, 1847, p. 286. Footnote Ba. Sartorius von Walterschassen, Physisch Geographisch Skis von Island, 1847, S41. Footnote BB. Humboldt, Premier Mémoire sur les montagnes de l'Inde, in the Annales de Chimie et de Physique, T. Roman 3. 1816, p. 303, Second Mémoire T. Roman 14. 1820, pp. 555. Footnote BC. De air et aquas, section XCVI, p. 74. Footnote BD. Strabo lib Roman 2, p. 102 and lib Roman 13, p. 598 Cassob. Footnote B. Compare Strabo lib Roman 2, pp. 71 128, lib Roman 3, p. 137 lib Roman 4, pp. 199 202, lib vp 211 Cassob. Footnote BF. Humboldt Essai Central T. Roman 2, p. 141, Klaproth Essai Polyglotta p. 232. Footnote BG. Compare my Essai Central T. Roman 3, p. 310 with the Journal of the Asiatic Soc. of Bengal, Volume X 1841, p. 114. Footnote BH. See his Kashmir BD, Roman 2, S 196. Footnote by Veen, Travels in Kashmir, 1842, Volume IPP. 237-293. Footnote BJ. Humboldt Essai Central T. Roman 3, pp. 281-325. Footnote BK. Il Milioni di Marco Polo, Pubble, Dalcont Baldelli TIPP. 32 and 87. Footnote BL. Toises in the German, accurately 3197 feet. TR. Footnote BM. Essai Central T. Roman 2, pp. 4852 and 429. Footnote BN. In the learned analysis of his Carte von Innerocean, 1841, S99. Footnote Bow. Ed. Schweasser, TVP 204. Footnote BP. Essai Central, TIP 247. Footnote BQ. Essai Central T. Roman 2, p. 138. Footnote BR. Jacob Grimm Jesch, Der Deutschen Sprache, 1848 th. IS 227. Footnote BS. Essai Central T. Roman 2, pp. 1820. Footnote BT. Klaproth Tableau Hist. De LAC, p. 108. Footnote BU. Annals des Mines, TV 1820, p. 137. Footnote BV. Essai Central T. Roman 2, pp. 1655, 6977, 341, 356. Footnote BW. Baron von Meyendorff in the Bulletin de la Société Géologique de France, T. Roman 9. 1830, 1838, p. 230. Footnote BX. Essai Central TIPP. Roman 23 at 118-159, T. Roman 2, pp. 431, 434, 465. Footnote by Strabo lib Roman 2, p. 68, lib Xi pp. 490, 511, lib Roman 15, p. 689. Footnote BZ. Montfaucon, Collectio Nova Patrum, T. Roman 2, p. 137. Footnote Ka. Compare Essai Central, TIPP. Roman 23 at 122-138, T. Roman 2, pp. 430-434, with Cosmos, Volume Roman 2, p. 543, Bones ed. Footnote CB. Travels, p. 97. Footnote CC. Essai Central T. Roman 2, pp. 427-483. Footnote CD. From a letter of Dr. Joseph Hooker, the learned botanist to the last Antarctic expedition, dated Darjeeling, 25th of July, 1848. Footnote C. Essai Central TIPP. 138, 154, 198, T. Roman 2, p. 367. Footnote CF. Compare Turner in the Asiatic Researches, Volume Roman 12, p. 234, with Elphinstone, Account of the Kingdom of Kabul, 1815, p. 95, and Francis Hamilton, Account of Nepal, 1819, p. 92. Footnote CG. Recueil d'Observations Astronomiques, TIP 73. Footnote CH. Annuaire du Bureau des Longitudes pour 1830, pp. 320-323. Footnote CI. See illustration 5, p. 44. Footnote CJ. C. Lloyd and Gerard, Tour in the Himalaya, 1840, Volume I, pp. 143, 312, and Assai Central T. Roman 3, p. 324. Footnote CK. Colebrook in the Transactions of the Geological Society, Volume Roman 6, p. 411. Footnote CL. Compare my investigation regarding the snow limit on both declivities of the Himalaya in my Assai Central, T. Roman 2, pp. 435-437, T. Roman 3, pp. 281-326, and in Cosmos, Volume I, p. 337, Bones ed. Footnote CM. Journal of the Asiatic Society of Bengal, New Series, Number Roman 28, p. 287. Footnote CN. Hist. Gain. Des Huns des Turks etc. 1756, TIP 1, p. 217 p. 2 pp. 111, 125, 223, 447. Footnote Co. See Klaproth, Asia Polyglotta, pp. 183, 211, Tableaux historiques de l'Asie, pp. 102, 109. Footnote CP. See Calm S. Rise Th. Roman 3, p. 416. Footnote CQ. Archaeologia, or Miscellaneous Tracts published by the Society of Antiquarians of London, Volume Roman 8, 1787, p. 304. Footnote CR. Relat Hist. T. Roman 3, p. 155. Footnote CS. Chronica del Peru, p. 1, cap. 87. Los Acon lettres en los edificios de Vinac. Footnote CT. Origin de los Indios, 1607, lib. Roman 3, cap. 5, p. 258. Footnote Q. Navarrete, Viajes de los Espanoles, TIP 67. Footnote CV. Humboldt at Bonpland, Planti Equinoctials Fasc, Roman 2. Footnote CW. See Humboldt's geognostic view of South America in his Relation historique, T. Roman 3, pp. 188-244. Footnote CX. Garcilaso de la Vega, Comentarios Reales, PI, p. 184. Footnote Sci. Fremont's Exploring Expedition, 1845, p. 42. Footnote CZ. Clavigero, Storia Antica del Mexico, 1780, TIP 73. Footnote De. Buffon T. Roman 15, p. 155. Footnote DB. Azara, Sur les quadrupeds du Paraguay, TIP 315. Footnote DC. On the Dogs of America, see Smith-Barton's Fragments of the Natural History of Pennsylvania, PI, p. 34. Footnote DD. J. von Tischuti, Untersuchungen über die Fauna Peruana, S. 247-251. Footnote De. Garcilaso, p. I 1723, p. 326. Footnote DF. Humboldt S. Ippolit, T. Roman 2, p. 448 and Relation Hist, T. Roman 2, p. 625. Footnote DG. Geogr. lib. Roman 3, cap 1. Footnote DH. Humboldt Assai Central, TIPP, 247-252. Footnote D. Explorations scientifiques de l'Algérie de 1840 à 1842, publié par ordre du gouvernement, Sciences Hist. Et Geogr. T. Roman 8, 1846, pp. 364-373. Footnote DJ. Exploration Scientifique de l'Algérie Hist. Et Geogr. T. Roman 2, p. 332. Footnote DK. Ibid. T. Roman 2, pp. 126-129 and T Roman 7, pp. 94-97. Footnote DL. Fournel sur les gisements de Muriate de Soude and Algerie, p. 6, in the Annales des Mines, Formi Sarai, T Roman 9. 1846, p. 546. Footnote DM. Essai Central T Roman 2, p. 320. Footnote DN. Comptes rendus de l'Académie des Sciences, T Roman 20. 1845, pp. 170, 882, 1305. Footnote do. See Shaw, Voyages dans plusieurs parties de la Berberie, TIP. 169, and Renal, Africa Append. P. LXXXV. Footnote DP. Fournel sur les gisements de Muriate de Soude and Algerie, pp. 2841, and Karsten, über des Vorkommen des Kochsalzes auf der Oberfläche der Erde, 1846, S. 497, 648, 741. Footnote DQ. Memoria sul abbassamento di temperatura durante la notte, placide e serene, 1847, p. 55. Footnote Doctor. Consult also on African meteorology, a May in the Explore. De l'Algerie Fies, Gerner, T Roman 2, 1846, p. 147. Footnote DS. Explore de l'Algue, Hist, et Geoger, T Roman 8 pp. 6578. Footnote DT. Relation de l'expédition de la Malouine. Footnote do. Goebel, Rise in die Steppe des Südlichen Russlands, 1838 th. Roman 2. S. 244, 301. Footnote DV. Humboldt, Mémoire sur les lignes isothermes, 1817, p. 54. Essai Central T Roman 3. Malman, Table Roman 4. Footnote DW. Essai Central T Roman 3, p. 176. Footnote DX. Meteor, Essays, 1827 pp. 230-278. Footnote Die. Sul abbassamento di temperatura durante la notte, placide e serene, 1847, pp. 47-53. Footnote DZ. Essai Central T Roman 3, pp. 195-205. Footnote E. Temperaturtafeln nebst Bemerkungen über die Verbreitung der Warmhof der Oberfläche der Erde. 1848, S95. Footnote Ebb. See the admirable treatise by Samuel Forey on the climate of the United States, 1842, pp. 37, 39, 102. Footnote Eck. Forey op. Cit. pp. 97, 101, 107. Footnote Ed. Message from the President of the United States to Congress, 1844, p. 160 and Forey op. Cit. pp. 49, 67, 73. Footnote E. Fragments of the Nat. Hist. of Pennsylvania P.I. p. 4. Footnote F. See New Berlinische Monotrift, B.D. Roman 15, 1806, section 190. Footnote for example. On the vegetable remains found in the lignite formations of the North of America and of Europe, compare Adolf Brongniart, Prodrome d'une Hist. Des Végétaux Fossils, p. 179, and Charles Lyell's Travels in North America, Volume Roman 2, p. 20. Footnote A. Relation del Voyage à l'Estrecho de Magallanes Appendice, 1793, p. 76. Footnote I. See Robert Brown, Appendix to Flinders Voyage, pp. 575, 584, and Humboldt de Distribution Geographica Plantarum, pp. 80-185. Footnote Edge. Joss Hooker Flora Antarct, 1844, p. 107. Footnote Eck. Compare Darwin in the Journal of Researches, 1845, p. 244, with King in Volume I of the Nar. Of the Voyages of the Adventure and the Beagle, p. 577. Footnote L. Odd, I-52. Footnote M. Il Roman 4, 561. Footnote N. Theog, v. 517. Footnote EO. Op. et dies, v. 167. Footnote ep. De Originibus Americanorum, p. 195. Footnote ec. On the connection of purely mythical ideas and geographical traditions, and on the manner in which the Titan Atlas gave occasion to the image of a mountain beyond the pillars of Hercules supporting the heavens. See Letron, Essai sur les idées cosmographiques qui s'y rattachent au nom d'Atlas, in Fairsax's Bulletin Universal des Sciences, Mars 1831, p. 10. Footnote Essai Central, TI, p. 179. Footnote es. Lib. Roman 3, 53-55. Footnote et. Maximus Tyrius Roman 8, 7 ed. Markland. Footnote au. Lib. Roman 4, cap 9. Footnote ev. Cosmos, Volume Roman 2, p. 559, Bones ed. Footnote u. Addition to 1810, pp. 7, 353. Footnote x. See Journal of the Royal Geographical Society of London, Volume Roman 17, 1847, pp. 74-76. Footnote I. Vigionella Ethiopia, Remusio, Volume I, p. 249. Footnote es. Compare Ayrton in the Journal of the Royal Geog. Soch, Volume Roman 18, 1848 pp. 53, 55, 59, 63 with Ferd, Wern's Instructive Expt. Zur Ent. Der Nilquellen, 1848, S. 534-536. Footnote fa. Lib. Roman 4, cap 9. Footnote fb. See Ruppel, Rise in Abyssinian BD, I. S. 414, BD. Roman 2, S. 443. Footnote fc. Humboldt, Essai Central, T. Roman 3, p. 272. Footnote fd. Op. Cit. T. Roman 3, p. 235. Footnote phi. Hakluyt Voyages, Volume Roman 3, p. 14. Footnote ff. Rennell, Investigation of the Currents of the Atlantic Ocean, 1832, pp. 96, 136. Footnote fg. Account of the Islands of Orkney, 1700, p. 60. Footnote fh. Bembo Historiae Veneti, ed. 1718, lib. Roman 7, p. 257. Footnote phi. Ed. Van Staveren Ker Bartoli T. Roman 2, 1820, p. 356. Footnote fj. Lib. Roman 3 cap. 5 section 8. Footnote fk. Hist. Nat. Roman 2, 67. Footnote fl. Historia Gen de las Indias. Saragossa, 1553, Fall Roman 7. Footnote fm. See Cosmos, Volume Roman 2, p. 604 Bones ed., and Examen Critique de el Hist. De la Géographie T. Roman 2, pp. 247-278. Footnote fn. Sartorius von Walterschassen, Physisch Geographisch Skis von Island, 1847, S. 2235. Footnote fo. Prescott, Conquest of Mexico, Volume Roman 3, p. 416. Footnote fp. Crónica del Perú, Sevilla, 1553, cap. 110, p. 264. Footnote fq. See Gay, Zoologia de Chile, Mammiferos, 1847, p. 154. Footnote fr. See the Inca Garcilaso, Commentarios Reals, p. 1 lib. vcap. 2 p. 133, and Prescott, Hist. Of the Conquest of Peru, 1847, Volume I, p. 136. Footnote fs. Fragments of the Nat. Hist. Of Pennsylvania, p1, p4. Footnote ft. T. Schutte, Fauna Peruana, S. 256. Footnote fu. Rise die Erd th, Roman 3, S. 64. Footnote fv. T. Schutte, S. 228, 237. Footnote fw. See the pleasing descriptions in Darwin's Journal, 1845, p. 66. Footnote fx. See a rare work printed at Mexico in 1792 and entitled Chronica Seraphica y Apostolica del Colgio de Propaganda Fide de la Santa Cruz de Querétaro. Por Fray Juan Domingo Aricevita. Footnote Phi. Jacob Grimm Jesch, Der Deutschen Sprache 1848 th. IS 62. Footnote FC. Lib VPP 199 232. Wessel. Footnote Ga. Strabo Roman 15, 1017. Footnote GB. Geogr Arman, ed. Whiston 1736 p. 360. Footnote GC. Ramusio Volume Roman 2, p. 10. Footnote GD. Abhandel der Burl, Akkad, 1816 s. 123. Footnote G. Essai sur la géographie des plantes, 1805, p. 28. Footnote GF. Karl Koch Beiträge zur Flora des Orients. Heft, 1 s. 139, 142. Footnote GG. Jacob Grimm Jesch, Der Deutschen Sprache th. IS 69. Footnote GH. Views des Cordillers et Monuments des Pupils Indigènes de l'Amérique, 2 tomes. Footnote G. Compare the work of D. Antonio del Rio, entitled Description of the Ruins of an Ancient City Discovered near Palenque, 1822, translated from the Orig. Manuscript. Report by Cabrera P9 tab. 1214 Rio's researches were made in the year 1787, with Stevens' Incidents of Travel in Yucatan, 1843, volume IPP. 391, 429, 434, and volume Roman 2. pp. 21, 54, 56, 317, 323, with the magnificent work of Catherwood, Views of Ancient Monuments in Central America, Chiapas, and Yucatan, 1844, and lastly with Prescott, The Conquest of Mexico, volume Roman 3. Append P. 360. Footnote GJ. Stevens in Cid. Of Travel in Yucatan, volume IP 439 and volume Roman 2, p. 278. Footnote GK. Klaproth Tableaux historiques de l'Asie, 1824, p. 79, Nouveau Journal Asiatique, TX 1832, p. 335, and Humboldt Examen Critique, T. Roman 2. pp. 62-67. Footnote GL. Relat Hist, T. Roman 3, pp. 155-160. Footnote GM. Gamara Hist, General de las Indias, p. 117. Footnote GN. Compare My Relation Historique, TIP 492, T. Roman 2. pp. 653-703, with Richard Scomberg, Risen in British Guiana, th. I 1847 s. 2, 120, 173, 194. Footnote Go. Historiae Veneti, 1551, p. 88. Footnote GP. See text of Riccardi in my Examen Crit, T. Roman 4, p. 496. Footnote GQ. Raleigh, Discovery of Guiana, 1596, p. 90. Footnote GR. Brevis et Admiranda Descriptio Regni Guianae Norib, 1599, tab 4. Footnote GS. Gumilla, Historia Natural, Civil y Geographica de las Naciones Situadas en las Riberas del Rio Orinoco, Nueva Imper. 1791, pp. 143, 145, 163. Footnote GT. See Journal of the Royal Geogr. Society, volume Roman 12. 1842, p. 175, and description of the Murici, or Ida palm, read in the meeting of the British Association held at Cambridge, June 1845, published in Simmons' Colonial Magazine. Footnote GU. See also Sir Robert Scomberg's new edition of Raleigh's Discovery of Guiana, 1848, p. 50. Footnote GV. Burnout Missionary Labors in British Guiana, 1847, pp. 34-44. Footnote GW. Humboldt Bomplund et Kunth, Nova Genera et Species Plantarum t. I, p. 310. Footnote GX. Moschheim Institut, Hist, Eccles, 1755, p. 215. Footnote J. See My Relat, Hist, TIPP, 296 625, T Roman 2, p. 161. Footnote GZ. Lib Roman 3, p. 184 Road, p. 219 Wessel. Footnote Ha. Humboldt Bonpland et Kunth, Synopsis Plantarum Equinoct. Orbis Novi, T Roman 3, p. 370. Footnote HB. Compare Arago in my relation hist. TI p. 623. Footnote HC. See my relat, Hister, T Roman 2, pp. 196 626. Footnote HD. Observations de zoologie et d'anatomie comparée, TIPP, 83-87 and relat, Hist, T Roman 2, pp. 173-190. Footnote He. Untersuchungen über theorische Elektrizität, von Emil du Bois Raymond, 1848 BD. IS Roman 15. Footnote HF. Risen in Guiana und Orinoco, S 212. Footnote HG. See my relat, Hist, T Roman 2, pp. 299-304. Footnote HH. See my anatomical treatise in Recueil d'Observations de Zoologie, volume IP 18. Footnote Hi. On the Ethiopian boa see Deoder. Sickle, Lib Roman 3, p. 204 ed. Wesseling. Footnote HJ. Relat Hist, T Roman 2, pp. 618-620. Footnote HK. Historia del Rio Orinoco, Nueva Imper. 1791, TIP 179. Footnote HL. This was also observed by Gilge, Saggio di Storia Americana, T Roman 2, p. 311. Footnote Hem. Thibault de Chanvelin, Voyage à la Martinique, p. 85. Footnote HN. Voyage à la Recherche de la Pérouse, T Roman 2, p. 322. Footnote Ho. Bericht über die Verhandel, der Akad, die Wiss, zu Berlin aus dem J. 1848, S 222-225. Footnote HP. Voy à la Reche, de la Pérouse T Roman 2, p. 205. Footnote HQ. See Ehrenberg, Über des Unsichtbar Werkend Organisch Leben, 1842 S. 41. Footnote HR. Reisen in Guiana, und dem Orinoco Übersetzt von Otto Schomburg, 1841 S. 500. Footnote HS. Compare Relation Historique, T Roman 2. p. 589, with Martius, Über die Physiognomie des Pflanzenreichs in Brasilien, 1824 S. 14. Footnote HT. Richard Schomburg, Reisen in British Guiana, th. IS 320. Footnote Who. Archaeologia Britannica, Volume V 1779, pp. 318-324, and Volume Roman 6, 1782, p. 107. Footnote HV. See my relat, Historique T Roman 2, pp. 547-556. Footnote HW. Reisen in British Guiana, th. IS 440-1461. Footnote HX. Compare also the older chemical analysis of Boussingault in the Annales de Chimie et Physique, T Roman 39, 1828 pp. 2437. Footnote Hi. Humboldt, in this and other pages of his lecture, addressed, it should be remembered, to the citizens of Berlin in 1806, evidently alludes to the troubles of the times. Ed. Footnote HZ. Hist. Lib. Roman 6, Initio. Footnote IA. This subject is elaborately discussed in Heeren's various works. Ed. Footnote IB. Blumenbach, Collections sui cranium diversarum gentium, and c. 4 to Gotting. 1798-1828. Ed. Footnote Eich. Gilbert's Annalen der Physik, BD. Roman 16. 1804, S 394-449. Footnote Id. Navarit Viages y Descubrimientos que hicieron por mar los Españoles, TIPP. 253-260, T Roman 3. pp. 539-587. Footnote IE. Deoder, Sickle, Lib Roman 17, p. 553 Rodum. Footnote IF. Reisen in Guyana, 1841, s. 448. Footnote IG. See the memoir which I drew up at the request of the Portuguese government in 1817, Sur la fixation des limites des Guyans franquais et portugais. Skoll, Archives historiques et politiques, au recul de pièces officielles, mémoires, NCTI. 1818, pp. 4858. Footnote I. Relation historique, T. Roman 2. pp. 474-496, 558-562. Footnote Roman 2. Reisen in Guyana, de Morinoco, 451. Footnote Ig. Nouvelles Annales des Voyages, 1836, sept, p. 316. Footnote Ic. Humboldt, Relation historique, T. Roman 2, p. 158. Footnote Ill. See my Relation historique, T. Roman 2, pp. 223, 239, 406, 413. Footnote IM. Recueil d'observations de zoologie et d'anatomie comparée, TIPP. 306-311, tab, Roman 28. Footnote in. Op. Cit. T. Roman 2, p. 340. Footnote IO. Volume V, 1835, p. 77. Footnote IP. Hertha, Zeitschrift für Erd- und Völkerkunde von Burghaus, BD. Roman 13, 1829, s. 329. Footnote Ic. Annales des Sciences Naturelles, T. Roman 4, 1825, pp. 225-253. Footnote Burghaus, Zeitschrift für Erdkunde, Band, Roman 9, s. 322-326. Footnote is. Fitzroy, Voyages of the Adventure and Beagle, 1839, Volume Roman 2. p. 481, Darwin, Journal of Researches, 1845, pp. 253 and 291. Footnote it. Mary Somerville, Physical Geographer, 1849, Volume Roman 2, 425. Footnote EU. Geographical Memoir upon Upper California, an illustration of his map of Oregon and California, 1848. Footnote Roman 4. Memoir of a tour in northern Mexico, connected with Carl Doniphan's expedition, 1848. Footnote EU. Expedition on the Upper Arkansas, 1845, an examination of New Mexico in 1846 and 1847. Footnote Roman 9. Humboldt S. Hippolyte, Sur la Nouvelle Espagne, TIPP, 127-136. Footnote E. Fremont Geogr, Mem. of Upper California, 1848 pp. 8 and 67, see also Humboldt S. Politique, T. Roman 2, p. 261. Footnote is. Compare a Burt's examination of New Mexico in the Documents of Congress, number 41, pp. 489 and 580-1605, with my S. Paul, T. Roman 2, pp. 241-244. Footnote Ya. Fossil remains of this gigantic antediluvian tortoise are now in the British Museum. Ed. Footnote JB. The weight of the lower branches bends them to the ground, so that a single tree forms a hemispherical mass of verdure sometimes 150 feet in diameter. Ed. Footnote JC. Actes de la Société Helvétique, 1843, p. 324. Footnote JD. Claudio Gay, Historia Physica y Politica de Chile, Zoologia, 1844, p. 91. Footnote G. Compare Maiasai Central, T. Roman 3, p. 262, with Hooker, Journal of Botany, Volume I, 1834, p. 327, and the Edinburgh New Philosophical Journal, Volume Roman 17, 1834, p. 380. Footnote JF. Recueil d'Observe, Astron, T.I. Inter, P. Alexei. Footnote JG. Voyage à l'Équateur, 1751, p. 184. Footnote JH. Vocabulario de la lengua general de todo el Perú llamada lengua quichua o acute del Inca, Lima, 1608. Footnote J. See the word in Juan de Figueiredo's Vocabulary of Chinchasuyo words appended to Diego de Torres Rubio, Art, y Vocabulario de la Lengua Quichua, Raimper. En Lima, 1751, Fall. 222b. Footnote JJ. Velasco, Historia de Quito, TIP 185. Footnote JK. Hist. Of the Conquest of Peru, Volume IP 125. Footnote JL. See my views des cordillers et monuments des pupils indigènes de l'Amérique. TIP 116. And the memoir entitled Überzwe Versuch den Chimborazo Zubestagen, 1802 and 1831, in Schumacher's Jobbuch für 1837, S 176. Footnote JM. Critical Researches on Philology and Geography, 1824, p. 144. Footnote JN. See my Recueil d'Observations de Zoologie et d'Anatomie Comparée, Volume IP 2645. Footnote Jo. Fauna Peruana Ornithol, p. 12. Footnote JP. Voyage de l'Amérique Méridionale, T. Roman II. p. 2, 1752, Observations astronomiques et physiques, p. 110. Footnote JQ. Claudio Gay, Historia Física y Política de Chile, publicada bajo los auspicios del Supremo Gobierno, Zoologia, pp. 194-198. Footnote JR. On the action of water, see my Versuch über die Gerist Muskelund Nervenfaser, BD, Roman II, S 250. Footnote JS. See his Mémoire sur les tardigrades et sur leur propriété de revenir à la vie, 1842. Footnote JT. Doyer op. Cit. p. 119. Footnote Ju. Doyer op. Cit. pp. 130-133. Footnote JV. Doyer op. Cit. pp. 117 and 129. Footnote JW. Regnet Animal, 1829, TIP 396. Footnote JX. Lavoisier, Mémoires de Chimie, TIP 119. Footnote J. Milne Edwards, Elements de Zoology, 1834, p. 543. Footnote JZ. Relat Hist. T. Roman II, pp. 192-626. Footnote K. Grundriss der Kräuterkunde, 4t Offel, Burrell, 1805, S 405-412. Footnote KB. Auguste de Saint-Hilaire, Leçons de Botanique, 1840, pp. 565-571. Footnote KC. Adrien de Jussieu, Cours élémentaires de Botanique, 1840, p. 463. Footnote KD. Joe, Rhine. Forster Bemerkungen auf seiner Reise die Welt, 1783 s. 57. Legental Voyage dans les mers de l'Inde, 1772, TIPP. 685-698. Footnote Key. Forscal, Fauna Egyptiaca Arabica, S. Descriptions and Aemalium qui in Itiner Orientali observavit, 1775, p. 109. Footnote KF. Bory de Saint Vincent, Voyage dans les Isles des Mers d'Afrique, 1804t. IP 107, PL Roman 6. Footnote KG. Michaelis über das Luchen der Ostseebekiel, 1830, S17. Footnote KH. Abhandlungen der Akkad. Der Wiss. Zu Berlin aus dem J 1833, S 307, 1834, S 537-575, 1838, S 45, 258. Footnote Chi. Ehrenberg über das Luchen des Meers, 1836, S 110, 158, 160-163. Footnote KJ. Versuch über die Gerist Muskel und Nervenfaser, BD, IS, 438-441, see also OBS, De Zoologie et d'Anatomie Comparée, Volume I, p. 84. Footnote KK. Philosophical Transactions for the Year 1834, Part 2, pp. 545-547. Footnote KL. See my letter to the editor of the Annalen der Physik und Chemie, BD. Roman 37, 1836, S 212-214. Footnote KM. Humboldt Relat, Hist, TIPP, 79 533, respecting the wonderful development of mass and power of increase in the infusorial animalcules, see Ehrenberg in Fuss, S. Roman 13, 291 and 512. The galaxy of the smallest organisms, he says, passes through the genera monas, where they are often only of a line, vibrio, and bacterium. S. Roman 19, 244. Footnote KN. Rudolphi and Tazarum Synopsis, pp. 124-434. Footnote Co. See Gozen S. Einjudwurmer tab Roman 4, Fig 10. Footnote KP. Muller Zoologia Danica Fasc Roman 2, tab LXXX, A. Footnote KQ. Humboldt et Provencal sur la respiration des poissons, in Rec Dobbs, de Zoologie, Volume Roman 2, pp. 194-216. Footnote KR. Mémoires de physique et de chimie de la Société d'Arcueil, T.I. 1807, pp. 252-281. Footnote Ks. Abhandlungen der Akad, der Wiss, zu Berlin aus dem J. 1832, S. 393-432. Footnote KT. Ehrenberg op. Cit. S. 419. Footnote Q. Essai Central, TIP 218. Footnote KV. Darwin's Structure of Coral Reefs, pp. 39, 111, and 183. Footnote KW. Ehrenberg's Manuscript Notes. Footnote KX. Annals des Sciences Naturelles, T. Roman 6, 1825, p. 277. Footnote Chi. Darwin Coral Reefs, p. 6365. Footnote KZ. Chamisso in Kotzebue Entdeckungsreise, BD. EIV S. 108. Footnote La. See my essay Politique sur l'île de Cuba, T. Roman 2, p. 137. Footnote LB. Petter, Martyr Oceanica 1532, Dec. 1 p9 Gemara Hist. De las Indias 1553, Fall, Roman 14. Footnote LC. Lassipede Hist. Nat. Des Poissons, TIP 55. Footnote LD. Transactions of the Geological Soc. 2nd Sir. Volume VP 1, 1837, p. 103. Footnote Le. Annals des Sciences Naturelles, T. Roman 6, 1825, p. 273. Footnote LF. See Darwin's Journal, 1845, p. 467, also his Structure of Coral Reefs, pp. 84-87, and Sir Robert Scomberg, Hist. Of Barbados 1848, p. 636. Footnote LG. Report on Aegean invertebrata in the report of the 13th meeting of the British Association, held at Cork in 1843, pp. 151-161. Footnote LH. See Ross, Voyage of Discovery in the Southern and Antarctic Regions, Volume IPP. 334-337. Footnote Lee. Ehrenberg in the Apphandel, Der Burl, Akkad, Aus dem J. 1832, S. 430. Footnote LJ. Forbes and Spratt, Travels in Lycia, 1847, Volume Roman 2, p. 124. Footnote LK. See Myasai Central, T. Roman 2, p. 517. Footnote LL. Compare James Dana, geologist in the United States, exploring expedition under the command of Captain Wilkes, on the structure and classification of zoophytes, 1846, pp. 124-131. Footnote LM. Report of the 16th meeting of the British Association for the Advancement of Science, held in 1846, p. 91. Footnote LN. Otfer, Muller, Geskischen Hellenischer Stamm Unstad, BD, IS, 65-119. Footnote Low. Deodar, Sickle, lib vcap, 47 p. 369, Wesseling. Footnote LP. Geskich der Naderlichen Veranderungen der Erdoberfläche, th. I. 1822, S 105 162, and Cruiser, S symbolic 2t awful, th. Roman 2. S 285, 318, 361. Footnote LQ. Lib IP 4950, Kassob. Footnote LR. Lib Roman 17, p. 809, Kassob. Footnote LS. Strabo lib IP 5156 lib Roman 2, p. 104, Kassob. Footnote LT. Diod Roman 3, 5355. Footnote Lu. Maximus Tyrius Roman 8, 7. Footnote LV. Compare my Examen critique de L. Hist. De la Géographie TIP. 179 T Roman 3, p. 136. Footnote LW. Cosmos Volume Roman 2, p. 481, Bones edition. Footnote LX. See my work, Versuch über die chemische Zersitzung des Luftkreises, 1799, p. 177. And Mal's Jobacher der Berg und Huttenkund, 1797, p. 234. Footnote Lie. Nova Actua Cad. Leop. Carol, Naturae Curiosorum T Roman 13, 1827 p. 781. Footnote LZ. Humboldt Relat, Hist, TIPP, 118 639. Footnote Ma. Views des Cordillers et Monuments des Pupils Indigens de l'Amérique, PL, Elzix. Footnote MB. Relat Hist, TIP 282. Footnote MC. Grundzüge der Botanik, 1843, Section 1003. Footnote MD. Asia Portuguesa TI Cap 2 pp. 1418. Footnote Me. Compare also Barrows Asia Dec. I live, Roman 2, Cap 2 TI Lisboa 1778, p. 148. Footnote MF. Navarrete TV pp. 8, 247, 401. Footnote MG. Examen critique de L. Hist. De la Géographie, TV pp. 129 132. Footnote MH. Remusio, Volume IP 109. Footnote Me. Flor de Senegambi p. 76. Footnote MJ. This tree was formerly called the Ethiopian sour gourd. Julius Scaliger, who gave it the name of guanabannus, instances 1, which 17 men with outstretched arms could not encompass. The wood is very perishable, and the Negroes place in the hollow of these trees the corpses of their conjurers, or of such persons who they suppose would enchant or desecrate the ground, if buried in the usual way. Ed. Footnote MK. Famias des Plantes de Dansen, 1763, PIPP, CCXV. The 14th century is here stated, but this is no doubt an error. Footnote ML. Adrien de Jussio, Cours de Botanique, p. 62. Footnote M. Voyage au Sénégal, 1757, p. 66. Footnote MN. Fragments d'un voyage en Afrique T Roman 2, p. 92. Footnote Mo. Cosmos, Volume Roman 2, p. 662, Bones edition. Footnote MP. Decandal de la Longévité des Arbres, p. 65. Fine engravings of the Venerable Yew at Fordingle, Fountains Abbey, Ankerwyke, and C. will be found in Strutt's magnificent work on forest trees. A very full account of the yew tree, with engravings, will also be found in Loudon's Arboretum Britannicum. Ed. Footnote MQ. And Licker, Grundzüge der Botanik, S. 399. Footnote Mr. Good Birds of Australia, Volume I in Trod, p. Roman 15. Footnote MS. Adrien de Jussio, Cours élémentaires de Botanique, 1840, p. 61. Footnote MT. Kunth, Lehrbuch der Botanik, th. I 1847, S 146, 164. Lindley Introduction to Botany, 2nd ed. p. 75. Footnote Mu. Mühlenfort, Versuch einer Getruhen Schilderung der Republik Mexico, BD. IS 153. Footnote MV. Lassen, Indische Altertumskund, BD. IS 260. See an interesting account of the banyan tree in Forbes' Oriental Memoirs, Volume IPP, 2528. The tree there described, the famous Kabir bur, comprises 350 large trunks and more than 3,000 small ones, and extends over an area of several thousand feet. Milton alludes to the banyan tree in his Paradise Lost, Book 9, line 1100 and c. ed. Footnote MW. Historiae Veneti, 1551, Fall, 83. Footnote MX. Annales de la Société d'Agriculture de la Rochelle, 1843, p. 380. Footnote My. Darwin, Journal of Researches into Nat. Hist. 1845, p. 239. Footnote MZ. Voyages of the Adventure and Beagle, Volume Roman II, p. 363. Footnote Na. Flora Antarctica, p. Roman 7, 1 and 178. And Camille Montague Botanique Cryptogame du Voyage de la Bonite, 1846, p. 36. Footnote NB. General Remarks on the Botany of Terra Australis, p. 4. Footnote NC. Humboldt de Distribution Geographica Plantarum, p. 23. Footnote ND. Essai élémentaire de Géographie botanique, p. 62. Footnote NE. Formerly librarian to Sir Joseph Banks, now president of the Linnean Society. Ed. Footnote NF. Robert Brown, General Remarks on the Botany of Terra Australis, in Flinders Voyage, Volume Roman II, p. 338. Footnote NG. Compare my essay, De Distribution Geographica Plantarum Secundum Coeli Temperium et Altitudinem Montium, 1817, pp. 2444, and see the farther development of numerical relations as given by me in the Dictionnaire des Sciences Naturelles, T. Roman 18. 1820, pp. 422-436, and in the Annales de Chimie et de Physique, T. Roman 16. 1821, pp. 267, 292. Footnote NH. Humboldt et Bonpland, Plants Equinoxiales, TIP 33, tab. 10. Footnote NI. See his work, Rigni Vegetabilis Systema Naturale, TIPP. 128, 396, 439, 464, 510. Footnote NJ. Biology BD, Roman II, S47, 63, 83, 129. Footnote NK. De Candolle, Théorie élémentaire de la botanique, p. 190. Humboldt Nova Genera et Species Plantarum, TIPP, Roman 17. 1. Footnote NL. Jahrbücher der Jutzkund, BD. I Berlin, 1818, S18, 2130. Footnote NM. Playfair in the Transactions of the Royal Soc. of Edinburgh, Volume V, 1805, p. 202, Humboldt on the sum total of the thermometric degrees required for the cycle of vegetation of the cereals in Mame. Sir Desline's Isotherms, p. 96, Boussingault, Economie Rurale, T. Roman II. p. 659, 663, 667, and Alphonse de Candolle, Sur les causes qui limitent les espèces végétales, 1847, p. 8. Footnote NN. Introduction to Botany, 2nd ed., p. 504. Footnote No. Manuscript Notice communicated to the Gartenbauverein, in Dec. 1846. Footnote NP. Kunth Enumeratio Plantarum. Footnote NQ. Ernest Diefenbach, Travels in New Zealand, 1843, Volume IP 419. Footnote NR. Joseph Hooker, Flora Antarctica pp. 7375. Footnote NS. Sir John Herschel, Results of Astron. Observe. At the Cape of Good Hope, 1847, p. 381. Footnote NT. Abhandel, der Akkad, der Wiss. Zu Berlin aus dem J 1846, S 322. Footnote New. See my work, Über die Gerist Muskelund Nervenfaser, BD. Roman II. S. 140-145. Footnote NV. Humboldt de Distribution Geographica Plantarum, pp. 225-233. Footnote NW. Seminario de Santa Fe de Bogotá, 1809, number 21, p. 163. Footnote NX. Wallach Plantiaceatici, volume Roman 3, tab. 211. Footnote NY. General Remarks on the Botany of Terra Australis, p. 45. Footnote NZ. Voyage au Bracelet, p. 60. Footnote OA. Compare also Darwin Journal, ed. of 1845, pp. 244-256. Footnote OB. Schomburg, Risen in British Guiana, th. IS 50. Footnote OC. Cosmos, volume Roman 2, p. 376, Bones edition. Footnote OD. Og. de Saint-Hilaire, Morphologie Végétale, 1840, p. 176. Footnote O. In the palm groves at Pihiguo, single trees annually bear as 400 fruit of an apple shape, and it is well known among the brothers of San Francisco, who live on the banks of the Orinoco and Guania, that the Indians become very fat at the time that the palms put forth their unctuous fruit. Humboldt de Distrib. Geogr. Plant, p. 240. Footnote of. Compare my essay sur la géographie des plantes, p. 29, and my Relat. Hist. TIPP. 104-587, T Roman 2. pp. 355-367. Footnote OG. Cosmos, volume Roman 2, p. 524, Bones edition. Footnote O. Compare Lassen, Indische Alterthumbskund, BD. IS 262 with my Essai politique sur la Nouvelle Espagne, T Roman 2, p. 382, and Relat. Hist. TIP 491. Footnote OI. Humboldt at Bonpland, Plants Equinoxales, TIP 82, pi 24 Essai Polit, sur la Nouve, Esp, TIP 98. Footnote OJ. CR Plants Equin, T Roman 2, p. 113 PL 116. Footnote OK. See his Tableau des provinces situées sur la côte occidentale de la mer Caspienne, entre les fleuves Tarik et Cour, 1798, pp. 58, 120. Footnote all. See Molina's Storia Naturale del Chile, 1782, p. 174. Footnote ohm. Klotz, über die geographische Verbreitung der Erika-Arten mit bleibender Blumenkron. Manusker. Footnote on. Flora Sibirica, T Roman 4, p. 129. Footnote U. Flora Rossica, TI Pars 2, p. 53. Footnote op. Botany of the Antarctic Voyage of the Erebus and Terror, 1844, p. 210. Footnote OC. Philos Transact, Volume LX6, p. 86. Footnote or. Handbuch der Botanik, S. 609. Footnote OS. Claudio Gay, Flora Chilensis, 1848, p. 30. Footnote OT. Wislizenus, Tour to Northern Mexico, 1848, p. 97. Footnote O. CP 15. Footnote OV. Hooker, Flora Antarctica, p. 69. Footnote OW. Compare the section Orchidea in my work De Distrib. Geogr. Plant, pp. 241-247. Footnote OX. See Darwin, Journal of Researches, p. 449. Footnote OI. See his Appendal, Der Wiss. Zu Munchen, BD. Roman 3, 1837-1843, S. 752. Footnote Oz. Synopsis Coniferarum, 1847. Footnote Pa. See Cosmos, Volume IPP. 280-287, Bones edition. Footnote PB. See my Examen Crit, T Roman 2, pp. 246-259. Footnote PC. Flora Antarctica, p. 229. Footnote PD. See Linnea, BD. Roman 15. 1841, S. 529, and Endlicher Synopsis Coniferarum, p. 96. Footnote P. See Hofmeister. S. Brief aus Indien während der Expedition des Prinzen Waldemar von Preußen, 1847, S. 351. Footnote PF. Dak Roman 3, Lib. XP 68. Footnote PG. Thunberg, Flora Japonica, p. 275. The allusion is somewhat amusing. We annex a translation of Thunberg's note. This fruit resembles acorns and is of an astringent nature. For this reason, the Japanese interpreters, when constrained to remain in the royal presence longer than usual, chew it as an antidiuretic. It is brought to table at the second course with acridria and is said to be very wholesome and to relax the bowels although it constricts the mouth. The expressed oil is in request for the kitchen, especially among the Chinese monks who live at Nagasaki. Ed. Footnote PH. Gay, Flora Chilensis, p. 340. Footnote Pi. See my examen crit, T. Roman 3, p. 24. Footnote PJ. See Ratzeburg, for Streisen, 1844, S. 287. Footnote PK. Torrey and Fremont, Report of the Exploring Expedition to the Rocky Mountains in 1844, p. 319. Footnote PL. And Liquor, Conifery Fossils, p. 301. Footnote PM. See Journal of the Royal Institution, 1826, p. 325. Footnote PN. See description in Lewis and Clark's Travels to the Source of the Missouri River and Across the American Continent to the Pacific Ocean, 1846, 1814, p. 456. Footnote PO. Dwight Travels, Volume IP 36, and Emerson, Report on the Trees and Shrubs Growing Naturally in the Forest of Massachusetts, 1846, p. 6066. Footnote PP. Auguste de Saint-Hilaire, Morphologie Végétale, 1840, p. 98. Footnote PQ. Linnea BD, Roman 15, 1841, S. 489. Footnote PR. Emerson, Report on the Forests, pp. 49, 101. Footnote PS. Morphologie Végétale, p. 91. Footnote PT. Goppert, Beobachtungen über das Sodent Umwallen der Tannenstock, 1842, S. 12. Footnote PU. Hist. Plant Lib. Roman 3, Cap 7 pp. 5960, Schneider. Footnote PV. TH, IS 143, 166. Footnote PW. Compare Unger, über den Einfluss des Bodens auf die Verteilung der Jewets, S. 200, Lindblom et Not. In Geographicam Plantarum Intrasucium Distributionum, p. 89, Martius in the Annals des Sciences Naturelles, T. Roman 18. 1842, p. 195. Footnote PX. Link Arwelt Th. I 1834, S. 201-211. Footnote Pi. Palissat de Beauvoir, Fleur d'Oer de Benin, Ti 1804 p4, pl, Roman 3. Footnote PZ. Comps rendus de l'Institut, T. Roman 8. 1839, p. 454, T. Roman 9. pp. 614-781. Footnote K. Robert Schomburg, Reisen in Guyana und dem Orinoco, 1841, S. 233. Footnote QB. Poppig Reis in Chile, Peru und auf dem Amazonenstrom. BD. Roman 2, 1836, S. 432. Footnote QC. Ernest Diefenbach, Travels in New Zealand, 1843, Volume IP 426. Footnote QD. See the very correct delineations in Adrien de Jussieu, Cours de Botanique, pp. 77-79, Figs, 105-108. Footnote Key. Patterson, Reisen in das Land der Hottentot und der Kaffern, 1790, S55. Footnote QF. See his Reisen im Südlichen Afrika, th. IS 370. Footnote QG. Buchanan, Journey Through Mysore, Volume Roman 2, p. 341, and Sterling in the Asiat, Rays, Volume Roman 15, p. 205. Footnote QH. See Boger, Hortus Mauritianus, 1837, p. 201. Footnote Chi. Relat Hist. TIPP. 605-606. Footnote QJ. Flora Antarctica, p. 97. Footnote QK. Hooker Icon, Plant, Volume Roman II, tab. 150. Footnote QL. Compare Hooker, Flora Antarctica, pp. Roman 7. 74, 215 with Sir James Ross, Voyage in the Southern and Antarctic Regions, 1839-1843, Volume Roman II, pp. 335-342. Footnote QM. Humboldt's De Distrib, Geogr, Plant, pp. 178-213. Footnote QN. Historia de las Indias, 1535 Fall, XC. Footnote Co. Humboldt Relat, Hist. TIP 437. Footnote QP. Robert Brown, in Expedition to Congo, Append. p. 423. Footnote QQ. Abu Zakaria Ibn el-Awam, Libro de Agricultura, traducido por J.A. Banquery, T. Roman II. Matter. 1802, p. 736. Footnote QR. See a valuable treatise by D'Urville, Distribution géographique des fauteurs sur la surface du globe, in the Annals des Sciences Nat. T. Roman 6. 1825 pp. 51, 66, 73. Footnote QS. Count Suminski, Zur Entwicklungsgeschichte der Fangkrater 1848 s. 1014. Footnote QT. Monitel, Bericht der Akkad. Zu Berlin Januar 1848 s. 20. Footnote. Humboldt et Kunth, Nova Gen Plant, T. Roman II. p. 22, tab. 99. Footnote QV. Lindley Introd. To the Natural System of Botany, p. 99. Footnote QW. See the additions to Franklin's narrative of a journey to the shores of the Polar Sea, 1823, p. 765. Footnote QX. Morphologie végétale, 1840, p. 52. Footnote Chi. Adrien de Jussieu, Cours de Botanique, pp. 106, 120, and 700. Darwin, Journal of Researches, 1846, p. 433. Footnote QZ. Flora Antarctica, p. 12. Footnote Ra. Cosmos, Volume Roman II, p. 453, Bones edition. Footnote RB. Aristote, Degenerat, Animal, VIP 778, and De Somno et Vigil Cap, IP 455 Becker. Footnote RC. Kunth, Lehrbuch der Botanik, 1847. Th. IS 511, Schleiden, Die Flans und ihr Leben, 1848, S100. Footnote RD. Probel 27. Footnote Ray. Theoria Generationis, Section 5-9. Footnote RF. See Kunth, Synopsis Plantarum quas in Itiner Collegerunt, Alda Humboldt et am. Bonpland, T. Roman 3, pp. 87, 360. Footnote RG. Geognostical Essay on the Superposition of Rocks in Both Hemispheres, 8 Vo, Lond, 1803. Footnote RH. See Handel, Der Konigal. Akademie der Wissenschaften zu Berlin, Jar 1822 und 1823, S320. Footnote Rye. Actus Patricae, p. 555, ed. Ruinart. Cosmos, Volume IP 220, Bones edition. Footnote RJ. A portico in Athens containing a picture gallery painted chiefly by Polygnotus, with the assistance of Micken and Paninus. Zeno taught his doctrines there, and was in consequence called the Stoic, from Stoa, a portico, and his school the Stoic school, ed. Footnote RK. The very same idea is expressed in Schiller's Walk Under the Linden Trees, ed. Footnote RL. See Aphorismi ex Doctrina Physiologiae Chemicae Plantarum, in Humboldt, Flora Fribergensis Subterranea, 1793, pp. 133-136. Translation. If you attentively consider the whole nature of things, you will discover a great and permanent difference amongst elements, some of which obeying the laws of affinity, others independent, appear in various combinations. This difference is by no means inherent in the elements themselves and in their nature, but seems to be derived solely from their particular distribution. We call that matter inert, brute, and inanimate, the particles of which are combined according to the laws of chemical affinity. On the other hand, we call those bodies animate and organic, which, although constantly manifesting a tendency to assume new forms, are restrained by some internal force from relinquishing that originally assigned them. That internal force, which dissolves the bonds of chemical affinity and prevents the elements of bodies from freely uniting, we call vital. Accordingly, the most certain criterion of death is putrescence, by which the first parts or stamina of things resume their pristine state and obey the laws of affinity. In inanimate bodies, there can be no putrescence. Footnote Rem. Hennel Allgemeine Anatomy, 1841, pp. 216-219. Footnote Rn. Pulteney Allison in the Transact of the Royal Soc. of Edinburgh, volume Roman 16, p. 305. Footnote Row. Cosmos, volume IP 58, Bones edition. Footnote RP. Volume IP 349, Bones edition. Footnote RQ. Compare also the critique on the acceptation of special vital forces in Schleden's Botanic als Inductive Wissenschaft, Part 1, pp. 60, and the lately published and admirable treatise of Emil du Bois-Reymond, Untersuchungen über theorische Elektrizität, Volume I, pp. Roman 34-1. Footnote RR. Translation. From the province Antai, the Montanas of the Antais received their name. Antisuyu signified the eastern direction, and for that reason the name Antai was given to all that part of the great cordillera of Sierra Nevada which runs along the east of Peru to denote that it was situated in the east. Commentarios Reals pt. I. pp. 47, 122. ed. Footnote Rs. See my treatise on the Quina Woods, inserted in the Magazin der Gesellschaft Naturforschender Freund zu Berlin, Jog. I 1807, S. 59. Footnote RT. Histoire de l'Acad, des Sciences, année 1738, Paris, 1740, p. 233. Footnote RU. I have given a drawing of it in the Vues des Cordillers, PL Roman 17. See also Sieca, cap. 44, PIP 120. Footnote RV. Translation. The road of the Sierras is wonderful to behold, for truly, throughout all Christendom, there are not to be seen such beautiful roads on such rugged ground, and, for the most part, they are paved. Footnote RW. See Vues des Cordillers et Monuments des Pupils Indigènes de l'Amérique, ed. in 8 vo, T. Roman 2. pp. 220-267. Footnote RX. Joaquin Acosta, Compendio Histórico del Descubrimiento de la Nueva Granada, 1848, pp. 188, 196, 206, and 208. Bulletin de la Société de Géographie de Paris, 1847, p. 114. Footnote RI. Journal of a Residence in Colombia, 1825, volume Roman 2, p. 390. Footnote RZ. Historical Researches on the Conquest of Peru, 1827, p. 397. Footnote SA. Prescott's Conquest of Peru, volume IP 332. Footnote SB. See Garcilaso, Lib Roman 8, cap. 2, also Joaquin Acosta, p. 189. Footnote SC. See Humboldt Recueil des Observes, Astron, volume Roman 2, pp. 309-359. Footnote SD. Journal du Voyage fait à l'Équateur, 1751, p. 186. Footnote C. Pingray, Comatographie, TIP 496. Angala's Versuchnis aller Bischer Berechneten Kometenbahnen, in Albers, Easiest Method of Calculating the Course of a Comet, 1847, p. 206. Footnote SF. Madler's Astronomy, 1846, p. 307. Also Schnurr's Chronik der Suchen in Verbindung mit gleichzeitigen Erscheinungen, 1825, Part 2, p. 82. Footnote SG. Commentaries Reals de las Incas, Part Roman 2, 1722, pp. 2751. Footnote sh. Historia de las Indias, 1533, p. 67. See my Essai politique sur la Nouvelle Espagne, ed. 2, T. Roman 3, p. 424. Footnote c. See the Essai politique, T. Roman 3, p. 371, 377, and also Joaquin Acosta's Descubrimiento de la Nueva Granada, 1848, p. 14. Footnote sj. Prescott's Conquest of Peru, Volume IPP. 464-477. Footnote sg. Relation Hist, T. Roman 3, pp. 703, 705, 713. Footnote sl. Raleigh, The Discovery of the Large, Rich, and Beautiful Empire of Guiana, performed in 1595. Edition published by Sir Robert Schomburgk, 1848, pp. 119 and 137. Footnote sm. Examen critique de l'histoire de la géographie du nouveau continent et des progrès de l'astronomie nautique, aux 15 mi et 16 mi cycles, t. I. p. 349. Footnote sn. Peter Martyr's Epist, DXL, p. 296. Footnote so. Joaquin Acosta, Compendio Hist. Del Descubrimiento de la Nueva Granada, p. 49. Footnote sb. Vida del Almirante por Don Fernando Colin, cap. 90. Footnote sq. See my Atlas géographique et physique de la Nouvelle Espagne, pi, Roman 4, and Atlas de la Relation Historique, PL, Roman 22, Roman 23, also my Voyage aux Regions Equinoxiales du Nouveau Continent, T. Roman 3, pp. 117-154, and Essai politique sur la Royaume de la Nouvelle Espagne T. I. 2nd ed. 1825, pp. 202-248. Footnote sr. Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Soc. of London for the year 1830, pp. 5968. Transcriber's notes. p. 54, changed Plateau de la Tartarique to Plateau de la Tartary. 2. p. 134, changed Compare My Relation Historique, TIP 492 t. Roman 2, pp. 653-703, 6 ith Richard Schomburgk to Compare My Relation Historique, TIP 492 t. Roman 2, pp. 653-703 with Richard Schomburgk, 3. pp. 380 and 432, added missing footnote anchors. 4. Silently corrected obvious typographical errors and variations in spelling. 5. Retained archaic, non-standard, and uncertain spellings as printed. 6. Reindexed symbol designated footnotes using letters and collected together at the end of the last chapter. 7. Numbered footnotes were reindexed and left in place. 8. Enclosed italics font in underscores. 9. Enclosed bold font in equals.